I pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll call the meeting to order. We have the reading of the previous minutes.
All right. Structure council meeting draft minutes. Structure Baptist Church multi-purpose room, January 3rd, 2022, 7 p.m. Attendees: Mayor Jason Heeman, council members Jack Dowden, Kristen Potter, Gail Redden, Donald Haynes Jr., Keith Payne, Darrell Haynes, Secretary Raymond Dunwood II, also present Kirk Roan and Theodore Bessel Jr. We have a call to order, Pledge of Allegiance, meeting actions, appointment. Mayor Jason Heeman appointed new Secretary Treasurer Raymond J. Woods II. Ray Woods, who had previously expressed interest in writing November 12, 2021 letter at the December 6th meeting. Council member Kristen Potter read applicable PA Borough Code section stating mayor's power to fill the role so the meeting can legally proceed. Mr. Woods joins the meeting table and begins to report minutes of the meeting. Comment: Mayor Jason Heeman asked Kirk Roan to leave the table as he is not a council member and was incorrectly and illegally appointed to fill the council seat vacancy by Marianne DeBalco's resignation on October 15, 2021. Motion: Councilman Jack Dowden makes a motion to remove Kirk Roan from the table for multiple reasons. Did not take oath of office for his appointment, not fill within 30 days, no vacancy board established the seat after 30 days, the seat was not filled by resolution. Comment: Vote Darrell Haynes, Kirk Roan, ask for the names of the legal firm. Motion. Councilman Jack Dowden makes a motion for the seat occupied by Kirk Roan be declared vacant pursuant to Code 903 and failure to qualify. Councilman Dill Haynes Jr., Councilman Keith Payne, Councilman Darrell Haynes leave the meeting without comment. Discussion. Remaining council members discuss continuing the meeting after members leave, refer to Borough Code 1001, organizing meetings, can appoint officers necessary for meetings to function. Council decides to proceed. Councilman Kristen Potter reads the PA Borough Code book. Council members, along with the mayor, decide quorum is maintained despite other council members leaving the meeting unexpectedly. Motion. Mayor Jason Heeman, acting as council member during organization meeting, makes a motion to appoint Raymond Woods as Secretary Treasurer for the Structure Borough, seconded by Kristen Potter. The vote is unanimous. Jack Dowden, Kristen Potter, Gail Redden, Jason Heeman. Motion: Jack Dowden makes a motion to name Gail Redden council president, seconded by Kristen Potter. Vote: Gail Redden abstains. Jack Dowden, Kristen Potter, Jason Heeman. Motion vote yes. Motion passed. Motion: Council President Gail Redden makes a motion that Jack Dowden is appointed Vice President of Council, seconded by Kristen Potter. Vote: Gail Redden yes, Kristen Potter yes, Jason Heeman yes, Jack Dowden abstains. Motion passes. Action: Mayor Heeman turns the meeting over to President of the Council, Gail Redden. Correspondence. Letter from Theodore W. Batesville Jr. expressing interest in filling the vacant council seat left by Marianne DeBalco's resignation. Gail Redden makes a motion that Theodore W. Batesville Jr. be appointed to fill the empty seat left by Marianne DeBalco's resignation. Seconded, Jack Dowden. Vote: Gail Redden yes, Kristen Potter yes, Jack Dowden yes. Motion passes. Action: Theodore W. Batesville Jr., Ted Batesville, joins council at the meeting table. Oath is given by Mayor Heeman, and once sworn in, he is seated at the council table. Letter: resignation letter dated December 1st, 2021. Jordan Dowden from the position of auditor due to council actions limiting his ability to perform his function as auditor in his election to the Susquehanna School Board. Motion: Gail Redden makes a motion to accept the resignation of Jordan Dowden, seconded by Kristen Potter. The vote is unanimous, yes. Motion passes. Hopefully that's okay with everyone. I don't spell out everybody's name, every vote.
You only
It's
need to say
unanimous.
the ones that disagree to vote.
Letter, Chad Bowden expressed interest in the open auditor position. Motion, Kristen Potter makes a motion to seat Chad Bowden in the vacant position of auditor for Historical Borough, seconded by Ted Basil. Vote is Jack Bowden abstains, Kristen Potter, Gail Redden, and Ted Basil vote yes. Motion passes. Sorry, I'm going to just allow since sixth grade. Motion, Gail Redden makes a motion to effective immediately terminate Ronald M. Boucher, solicitor, seconded by Ted Basil. Vote is unanimous. Motion passes. Letter of interest is read from Sean Loxton of the Donald G. Karpowicz, attorney at law, PC firm, expressing interest in representing Historical Borough at the rate of $100 per hour. Public comment, location, Drums, PA, specifically municipal law. Jack Dowden concerns of leaving council and borough without legal representation. Public comment, the suggestion to rejoin the PA Borough Council Association. Jack Dowden makes a motion to hire Donald G. Karpowicz, attorney at law, PC, effective immediately to represent throughout the borough, seconded by Ted Basil. Vote is unanimous and motion passes. Public comment, have all borough assets returned to borough and all mail sent to borough-owned P.O. Box 83, Straka, PA 18462. Action, Gail Wren requests a letter is drafted to Ron Boucher requisitioning all the borough records and files. Motion, Jack Dowden makes a motion that all borough mail be sent to P.O. Box 83, Straka, PA 18462, and that Secretary Treasurer Ray Wood and Council President Gail Redden be authorized to receive mail from said P.O. Box. Seconded, Kristen Potter. Vote is unanimous. Motion passes. Motion, Jack Dowden makes a motion to review with the lawyer if it is possible to reimburse Lou Gursky for keeping the P.O. Box 83 open. Seconded by Ted Basil. Vote is unanimous. Motion passes. Discussion, process for updating mailing address records and updating the bank. Motion, Jack Dowden makes a motion to terminate effective immediately Demi Travis as treasurer for Secretary of Historical Borough. Seconded by Kristen Potter. Vote is unanimous. Motion passes. Motion, Jack Dowden makes a motion to contact the solicitor for recommendations on the best way to collect all borough materials from Ron Boucher, Demi Travis, and Laura Travis. Seconded by Kristen Potter. Vote is unanimous. Motion passes. Discussion, where to store records, lack of a secure building. Dave Burdetto, owner of previous borough hall where records are stored. And one addition I need to make here that I realized afterwards is that there's an agreement to remove those assets on the 31st of January. Motion. Ted Basil makes a motion to have the secretary contact the purchaser of the old Circle Borough Hall, Dave Burdetto, spelling to be corrected, to secure and provide access to the only to the Secretary Ray Woods and Constable Dave Soden to the records stored within. Seconded, Gail Redden. Vote is unanimous. Motion passes. Discussion, logistics of records and borough materials, storage and limiting access. Letter from Auditor Harley Basil and Thomas Giliardo informing the council that they have secured location to be prepared to perform the and are prepared to perform the audit. There are questions about all materials related to the 2020-2021 being delivered to them by January 15th, 2022. Motion. Jack Dowden makes a motion to set to pay for newly appointed Secretary Treasurer Ray Woods the same rate paid to the previous Secretary Treasurer, as well as reimbursement for appropriate expenses required to perform the duties. Seconded, Ted Basil's. Vote is unanimous. Motion passes. Comment. Gail Redden promises to provide an open and transparent council. Comment. Discussion about creation of borough website as well as borough Facebook page to communicate and communication of borough meetings, notes, etc. Tabled for further study and presentation at the next council meeting. Comment. Public expressed great interest in having online borough presence with both web and Facebook. Motion. Jack Dowden makes a motion to meet at the first Monday of the month at 7 p.m. unless that date is a holiday. Then it would be be held the following day. Seconded by Ted Basil. Vote is unanimous, motion passes. Motion, Gail Redden makes a motion to hold council meetings at 316 Straka Creek Road, Straka, Pennsylvania, 18462, location previously used for last three elections. Seconded by Jack Dowden. The vote is unanimous, motion passes. Discussion, public comment on status of chairs tables within the borough, specifically in regard to chairs donated to the church and borrowed by the borough previously. Decided to get to the bottom of who has possession of the chairs and return them to the rightful owners. Discussion, appropriate location to store the borough documents, including building storage container and hot water closets. Discussion, where to advertise borough meetings and public announcements. Tri-County Independent versus Susquehanna County, currently advertised. Susquehanna County. Currently advertised in Tri-County Independent, decision to continue with this process. Motion, Ted Basil makes a motion to continue to advertise in the Tri-County Independent paper. Second, Gail Redden. Vote is unanimous, motion passes. Action. Secretary Treasurer to research the cost of advertising in Tri-County and subscription. Motion, Kristen Potter makes a motion for Straka Borough to rejoin the PA State Borough Association. Seconded by Gail Redden. Vote is unanimous, motion passes. Discussion, unsuitableness of Straka Borough contract for the purchase of the Straka Baptist Church continues into discussion on the accuracy of deeds on file for the building. Appears to be much confusion and or errors in records. Discussion, state of insurance, liability insurance and fire insurance for Straka Borough, including status of contracts with Thompson Hose and Fire Protection. Motion, Jack Dowden makes a motion for the secretary to correct all records and communications between Straka Borough and Thompson Hose for the year 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. Seconded by Kristen Potter. Vote is unanimous. Motion passes. Discussion. No treasurer report and no minutes to approve as they were not presented into the record for the last meeting, December 31st, 2021. Action item. President Gail Redden would like minutes circulated for each of the council members prior to the meeting. Additionally, more discussion about the process of preparing and presenting information for and about meetings. Discussion, switching bank accounts, signature cards over to new secretary and council president. Motion, Ted Bensel makes a motion to lease Tom Galliardo's Hall, 316 Straka Creek Road, Straka, Pennsylvania, 18462, for 60 days at the cost of $1. Seconded, Jack Allen. Vote is unanimous, motion passes. Discussion, subdivision variance on the Dowden Farm from 1.5 acres to 0.65 acres. Ted Basil makes a motion to approve the variance. Seconded, Gail Redden. Vote is unanimous. Jack Dowden. Vote is not unanimous. Gail Redden, Ted Basil, and Kristen Potter vote yes. Jack Dowden abstains. Motion passes. Discussion, Borough Street Light upgrade maintenance. Lou Gursky to bring information to the next meeting. Discussion, President Gail Redden calls on any other pressing issues for the council since council is missing treasury records and minutes. President discussion, Gail Redden opens discussion on the sale of Borough Town Hall and potential purchase of the Straka Baptist Church. Discussion by Gail Redden calls for comment for the good of the borough. Motion, Gail Redden makes a motion to adjourn meeting, seconded by Kristen Potter. Vote is unanimous. Motion passes. Meeting adjourns at 9 p.m.
You've heard the reading of the minutes. Are there any errors or omissions?
First, I'd like to just make a note that I am recording the meeting. And I'd make a motion that we accept the minutes as read.
Second?
I second the motion.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion defeated.
Can you read that back to vote on that, Mr. Wood?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay.
So motion to approve minutes is read, seconded by Kristen Potter. Motion was made by Jack Dowden, and the vote was Gail Redden, Jack Dowden, Kristen Potter, yes. Keith Payne, Donald Haynes, Daryl Haynes, and Kirk Roan voted no.
Okay, pursuant to the court order, I'd like to make a motion to review and modify the January 3rd meeting minutes.
That is not on the agenda, and as per the sunshine law, you have to have it on the agenda in order to be addressed.
Okay, this is a court order from the judge.
And that does not supersede the state legislature of Pennsylvania.
I make a motion that we rescind or modify the meeting minutes of January 3rd, 2022.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, I said to rescind or modify.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
And prior to a vote, can you repeat that for me, please?
All right, so Keith Payne made a motion to rescind or modify January 3rd, 2022 meeting minutes.
Yes, no?
And I would say the court order reads that the January 3rd is a valid meeting.
Correct.
Court order.
But read number 4. It says, council members shall hold a meeting on February 7th to confirm or modify any of the action taken at the valid January 3rd reorganizational meeting.
Okay, well, you could go back and redo what you want to do, but you can't take the minutes, the January 3rd minutes out.
Didn't say that.
It most certainly did, because why don't you go and read number 2?
Okay.
There is a valid reorganization meeting on January 3rd where a quorum was established and the council members present.
That I
And it
understand.
names us. So
But we made a
the
motion.
court order is a valid meeting on January
Correct.
3rd.
But we made a motion
Can I say something?
to modify.
Excuse me.
I'm aware, I'm just trying to be helpful here. I don't think your motion was correct.
Okay.
The minutes already voted down. That's a done deal. But the judge's order says you have to review those, and review the actions and modify. So if your motion was to review or modify the action taken at the meeting pursuant to the Sunshine Law, Section 712.1, majority vote of council can do that and bypass the agenda.
Okay, give me that exactly so I get it
So,
correct.
Ron, are you just acting as their attorney, or?
Give us a minute, Jack.
No, Jack, I'm trying to help the borough, and again, I think you've done a fine job to a certain extent to get things going. I want to make sure things are done legally for the borough going forward. I've been a solicitor, and as the judge said, we got to review everything. So I want to make sure we keep this thing consistent with what the judge said.
Okay. Make a motion.
Make a motion to review.
Sorry, who is making the motion here, Ron
Hang on.
Boucher or Darrell
Hang on.
Haynes?
Hang on.
Ron Boucher is coaching Darrell Haynes on how to make a motion.
He's okay with what he said, he just said minutes. He
You're
don't want to do
coaching
minutes.
him. You're coaching him.
That's correct,
Giving him
you are
whatever he
acting
wants.
in a,
Okay, let's continue.
Mr. Haynes may make a motion, but
Okay.
Mr. Boucher
Right.
is not a member of council, will not
Okay.
be given the wording of the motion to anybody in
Okay.
this council.
Make a motion to review the action and modify the action of the January 3rd meeting.
And the second is,
I will second that.
all right, before a vote, the public is allowed to comment on any motion on the floor. Is there anyone from the public
There-
like to speak?
There was a motion made, you're gonna have to vote on that and clear that before the second motion can be made.
That's
That's
right.
a good point.
They already did.
That's Darrell's first motion.
Darrell.
Oh, the first
That-
motion,
that-
I'm sorry.
that-
That was me, you're
I
right.
will. That
All
was-
right,
that was
so
my
the
motion.
vote on the first motion,
Let's make very sure, Ray, you got that motion?
the first motion.
That, no, I don't, because he could not keep up with what was happening. I have the second motion written down, and it seemed like he was rephrasing what he was saying.
He did rephrase the first motion. The first motion stated that he was going to rescind or modify
The minutes.
the minutes. And it was, Darrell made the motion?
No, I made that.
No, that was Keith's
I
motion.
made that.
Your motion,
Yeah, no,
sorry.
I didn't get what Darrell said because it didn't seem like he finished, so I didn't have a chance.
You
Okay,
gotta
you
vote
have-
on the one Keith
Do
made.
you have the first motion?
I have Keith's motion, a motion to
That's
rescind
the
or
first.
modify the January 3rd, 2020
Right.
meeting minutes, and I don't have a second yet.
Okay, who's seconding your motion?
Nobody. Okay, then it's not a motion.
Then it's not a motion, does not need a vote.
Fail.
Now, the second motion.
Would you read that back for me, Ray?
So what I have here is motion to review the action and minutes of the, action and modify the minutes of the January 3rd meeting.
No minutes.
Is there a second?
Nothing.
Review the action and modify the actions of the January 3rd meeting.
That's right.
Okay, the motion is made by Darrell. Who's seconding this?
I will second that
Okay.
motion.
Now, before there's a vote, public participation, they're allowed to make comments.
I have a question. What does it actually mean to modify the minutes that you had at your meeting when they weren't there? How do they modify them?
By the court order from the judge.
No, don't do the court order. You don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay.
How are you modifying minutes? That is my question to you. It was your,
No further comment.
So I think we're not, the motion was never seconded to modify the minutes, right? The minutes should have been accepted because that's what happened. The new motion that Darrell made is to modify,
Review and modify.
review and modify action statement at the January 3rd meeting.
Right.
Nothing to do with minutes.
Yes, that's an entirely
Yeah, they
different,
voted the
this
minutes
is
down.
action that we're taking at our reorganizational meeting.
I have another question. How do they vote minutes down when they didn't attend the meeting?
Valid question.
Another question, because the
Why
minutes
was
are
public
corrected as
Okay.
now.
Public comment?
Sure.
If Mr. Batesel, who was deemed to be not somebody who was supposed to be on council, participated and actually either my motions or seconded, you can't approve.
Correct, only motions, according to you, Mr. Boucher, that he made or seconded.
Well, the only thing that really counts is the action taken by council at the meetings.
No, I think Mr. Bates's vote just would not count.
No, but he seconded and made motions. That's no good. You can't do that. He participated in the whole thing. Ron should have been here.
They crybabies left. What did they say?
They shouldn't have walked out, but they walked out.
Well, that's right. They're the ones that keep upsetting us.
Regardless of any other motions that Mr. Batesel did not make nor second, there was enough votes to pass every single one of those
It doesn't matter. They voted down the minutes. It doesn't matter. So
The
now.
actions do matter, which is what
The
we're
actions matter, what you
discussing,
want.
which is what we're discussing right now, Mr. Boucher.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, let's have a point of order. Is there any other public discussion on the motion on the floor? We entertain a vote. All those in favor? Opposed?
I refuse to vote on this as it is a violation of the Sunshine Act because it was not included on the minutes of the meeting.
All those opposed?
I'm not opposing, I'm refusing because
Jack's
it's a
opposed.
violation of the Sunshine
Gail's
Act.
opposed?
So I can read it to you if you'd like.
I beg your pardon?
So I can read it to you.
Oh, the sunshine. All right, we passed that. Let's go to correspondence. Ray?
Hold it. There's a motion to review the minutes.
Yes. But
Right.
you
No, no, no,
have
no.
to follow.
To
You,
modify the
no,
action.
modify, but
To
you-
modify
that-
the action.
Now we have to go on to, you have to follow the agenda and then you can make your actions.
I don't think so.
So the rules of order don't apply because you want to change.
In all due respect, Madam President, I think once he makes that motion, you have to take that up now, and you have to address those issues and go through the action.
Okay, so what is your first action then?
I make a motion to modify the action taken retroactive to January 3rd, 2022, the termination of Ronald M. Boucher, Solicitor of Strucker Borough.
I'll second it.
Could you repeat that motion then?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
I make a motion to modify the action taken retroactive to January 3rd, 2022, the termination of Ronald M. Boucher, Solicitor of Strucker Borough.
Seconded by?
I'll second it.
And I question that on, where in Borough Code does it say that you can modify borough minutes?
This is not modifying the borough minutes, this is modifying the actions taken.
Taken, rescinding actions. It's different. Is there any public comment on the motion on the floor?
I'm confused.
Yeah, we all are.
As far as Ronald J. has been a lawyer, correct?
Mhm.
Did you sign a contract with the borough?
Last year I did.
For this year?
I would dispute that, because I asked Darrell that, if you had a contract, and he said no. You were just using that.
I spoke to you personally, and you said you were not a solicitor if you struck a borough.
I don't know when you spoke to me personally.
Yes, I did.
When did you say things spoke to me?
I told you on the phone, and you said you cannot
Excuse me,
speak to one.
Jason, Dave is speaking at this time.
I understand what you're saying about, but weren't you Darrell's personal lawyer? Isn't that a conflict of interest? I've heard this, but I'd like to hear what is it?
I believe he was also Mr. Rhodes' personal lawyer at one point as well.
Well,
And
that's what everybody's talking about.
I have acted as Mr. Haynes' lawyer in the past, I have.
And you have acted as Mr. Haynes' lawyer against the borough several times, especially on the,
Which we
would
have.
have been August 17th, August of 2017, when you helped him get the court order for his federal court.
Well, no, I did it when
In
you violated
2013.
his rights in the prior lawsuit with maintaining his road, and you won the case, you lost. I had to do that because you were wrong. The borough was wrong, and I represented him, and we won the case.
No.
Tony Walter was on
This
the other
is a
side
totally
of the
different
case.
case, Ron, you know it is.
Which
That was
case
the
is
federal
that?
case for 2015.
I don't do federal court.
I know. So this was a totally different case, but then you took Darrell's 2013 case that he filed with us and struck a borough, and he did nothing with it. And since you guys could not get the court order through the federal, you helped Darrell get his federal court order because you took the actual agreement that they made and you took it back into the 2013 court case and asked the judge for a court order. So you could take that back through. Because Robert Hanna told me that Darrell's attorney, Harry Coleman was his name, they could not get the judge because it never went to court, it only went to mediation.
Yeah,
And then you guys you took it back in for Darrell. So you're his personal attorney against the borough to help him get his $100,000.
I was.
And that only went to mediation, never went to court.
But at that time, were you also the
No.
attorney for the borough?
No.
You were not on record as being the borough attorney?
No.
Mr. Beardsley was.
No, but I was involved in that, you're right, and in both cases, I was successful because the borough did things that were wrong. Just like the other day, you did things that were wrong.
So because,
It's still a
well, I think you
conflict of
did things
interest.
wrong. Chief Payne lied on the stand.
It is a conflict of interest for Mr. Haynes to want to hire his own personal attorney for borough business.
I'm not doing anything for Mr. Haynes personally.
You're right
But you
now
have.
directing Mr. Haynes.
No, it's not what you're doing now.
As his personal attorney.
Okay.
It is what you did
But
before
he
with
has
Mr.
prompted
Haynes. Now you're coming as a borough
Mr.
attorney.
Boucher.
Dave, were you finished with your comments?
If I got my answer, this is not a conflict of interest.
Not gonna put it in.
It's not a conflict of interest to use someone who personally benefited you financially
In the past,
against the borough for which he purports to have concerns and interest for.
because you were wrong.
Because you say so.
The judge said so, listen to me. The judge said it.
Point of order. There is a motion on the floor. Is there any other public comment?
So you said retroactively, what does that mean?
He gets paid since the first, probably.
It goes back. to
But you don't, he
January
doesn't, we
3rd,
don't have
so
a
that means-
contract with this. Do you have a
Well, we
contract,
started
signed
to-
contract with Mr. Boucher?
Repeat that, you
I beg your
know.
pardon?
You repeat what you said.
Do you have a signed contract that he's the borough solicitor?
Not this time, no.
It is on record that you said if you do not, you just
Strike
report
the
that.
record. Mr. Wood, would you read that motion back, please?
All right, motion to modify the actions to retroactively to January 3rd, 2022, of terminating Ronald and Boucher as solicitor.
And there's a second on that, correct?
Correct.
I can
You're the-
retroactively pay someone wasn't when
You're the
they had no
second.
contract.
How do you retroact it before it went to court? This
I think
determination
you asked me, I'll
was,
say it, because what you did was wrong.
what did we do was wrong? Let those guys walk out?
No, they walked out on their own, that was wrong for them to do. But what you did in trying to take Mary Ann DeBacco's seat and put somebody else on there when Ron was validly appointed was wrong.
That was not.
We're not talking about that part right now, we're talking about borough solicitor and you. That's the motion
Okay,
on the
there's a
floor,
motion on the
not the
floor.
seat.
Let me just back up and say this, Ron.
Yeah.
The reason we acted the way we did, and maybe our attorney could have forced it a lot more in court. I sat there and I asked Kirk, do you have any paperwork? And he said, no, I don't need it because I was appointed. He didn't need his oath.
But you didn't ask him for an oath, Jack, you just said.
Yes, I did.
Yes, he did, and
That's
that's
all
on
you said.
record.
It's on
You said
tape.
paperwork, you didn't say paperwork.
Yes,
Well, the oath
yes,
too, I asked him.
Yes,
I
It's on
didn't hear it.
video.
I didn't hear
No,
it.
yeah.
So you can
We
say
have-
that.
And I got video of it.
It's
So
on
it's
video.
like,
All right,
Wait a second.
excuse me.
you know what, we were just trying to move, you're saying that you want to help move the
All right.
borough forward, that's what we can.
Let's address the motion on the floor. All right, there's a motion made and seconded. Is there any other public comment? Could we call for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
I would like it on record that Mr. Haynes voted for a gentleman who has served as his own personal attorney and a personal attorney who sued the borough for him and helped Mr. Haynes gain monetary profit.
That is being recorded.
Yes, I would like that as a motion to put that on record.
Oh, well, then you have to say it again.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
to
the
put on
motion, there's a
record
motion on the floor.
that Mr. Haynes has voted for an attorney who has personally benefited him in the past. And personally benefited him in actions against the borough, resulting in a monetary gain for Mr. Darrell Haynes. I think he's specifically changed.
You have a second.
We have a
I'll second that.
That can be entered in the record?
Was that in the motion, Kristen?
Yes, she put in the
I'll second that one.
motion that be put in the public record. Is there any public comment on the motion that's on the floor? All those in favor of that motion?
Jack?
Jack? Kristen? Gail? All those opposed?
I don't even know it's true.
Okay. That is being recorded. All right, now your second, you said you had various points?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to make a motion to hire Ronald Bouget of the Law Office of Bouget and Fisher as Strucker Borough Solicitor, retroactive to January 3rd, 2022, by resolution, and enter into a contract signed by the Borough President.
I'll second that motion.
Public comment? Motion on the floor to hire Mr. Bouget as the borough solicitor.
If I may, this is the contract.
See, this is why we have such problems here, because when Darrell was asked, he deliberately lied to us and said, no, there is no contract with him.
This is a proposed contract, Jack. There was a contract last time that was in writing. It was a contract for 2021. This is for 22.
Okay.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. I'm going to have the secretary read the contract for all those present.
Should we read the whole contract?
Yes, please.
All right. Dear council members, thank you for a recent decision to choose me as Borough Solicitor for the year of 2022. Accordingly, I am hereby submitting a proposal for legal services for the calendar year of 2022. We always strive to provide professional and competent service. We like to believe that we have accomplished this in the past and will continue into the future. I have been working on varied legal matters since the beginning of this year, and these matters will be covered by this fee agreement. We would like to continue our working relationship throughout the calendar year of 2022. We will provide this service to you at an initial fee of $250. We are very cognizant of your attempt to closely monitor your expenses, and we hope you appreciate our efforts to provide you meaningful services without exorbitant fees. We requested that this fee be paid on or before February 15, 2022. I believe, based upon our past relationship, that we have a very good understanding between us of the types of services that we have provided to historical boroughs, such as document review, general correspondence, office consultation, phone conversations, and general legal advice. All this is billed at our regular hourly billing rate established below. As I am sure you can understand, there are occasionally situations and circumstances where the scope of the matter is beyond the type of services covered under the annual 2020 fee. Our policy in general is to generate a special fee letter in cases such as this. At this time, I would like to advise you that our hourly billing rate for 2022 will be $120 per hour, and we will bill no less than quarter-hour increments. Covered under our fee agreement is our attendance at your regularly scheduled borough meetings for a fee of $300 per meeting. This meeting fee covers meetings of 90 minutes in length, plus our approximate hour and a half travel time to and from these sessions. Should our attendance be required at any meetings which run longer than 90 minutes, we will bill the borough at our regular hourly billing rate of $120 per hour for any additional time. Our attendance at hearings will be billed at an hourly rate of $150 per hour. Of course, there shall be times when, for a number of reasons, no one from our office is available to attend a meeting, but there will be no refund from the annual fee stated herein. We know that you do appreciate our attendance, and we will always try to be available to you. One thing we must emphasize is that your regular meeting date has been adopted into our 2020 schedules. We cannot guarantee it. One thing we must emphasize is that your regular meeting date has been adopted into our 2020 schedules. We cannot guarantee attendance at any rescheduled or recessed meetings. Sorry. First time reading it, apologies. As you are well aware, the two attorneys in our office are Ronald M. Bouget, Esquire, and Miss Ronnie J. Fisher, Esquire. Both attorneys are extremely competent professional attorneys with township and litigation experience. We will be part of the team in providing your services for 2021. In the past, we have rarely had any reason to do so, but since times are changing so rapidly, we must reserve the right, if we deem it necessary, to charge for costs such as the cost for extra postage, cost of experts, like expenses like lodging and travel expenses, long-distance phone calls, copies, and other items we have mentioned in the letter. It has been a great pleasure to have the privilege of working with you previously. As you are aware, our office has always prided itself on the service offered to Storaka Borough, and we trust it has been a pleasant working experience for the council and your staff. Your payment of the aforementioned initial fee will acknowledge the acceptance of the terms outlined within this letter. We also ask that you have the appropriate council members execute a copy of this fee arrangement and return it to our office with the 2020 fee stated herein. If you have any questions, feel free to contact our office. We will be glad to assist you and look forward to working with you in the future. Sincerely, Ronald M. Bouget.
Heard the reading of the contract. There's a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any public comment? We'll entertain a vote. All those.
I'm wondering why Mr. Bouget has to charge $300 to be here for every meeting. He's not done that in the past. Attended every borough meeting.
If I may, Madam Council Person, if council doesn't want me to be here at a meeting, I won't come and they won't charge me. If they don't want me there at a meeting. It's only for those meetings that you require my attendance would be that cost. If you don't want me, I won't come, I won't charge you.
There's a motion on the floor. All those in favor of retaining Mr. Bouget as the council solicitor, all those in favor? Ruby, Darrell, Keith, JR, and Kurt. All those opposed? Jack, Gail, Kristen. Please state your name as you raise your hand for either a yea or a nay vote. The motion then is carried.
I have one quick question for you. We were in the court the other day. You did say that the January 3rd meeting did take place, right? So now it's going to validate it, so how if it was in court that we had the January 3rd meeting and now they can just go back and validate it? I don't know how this takes place, Ron.
Okay, I'll explain. I said it was a valid meeting. When I was first contacted back there, and I heard what happened, that the meeting was opened up by the mayor, pledge of allegiance was taken, the mayor took certain actions, and then 4 council members walked out. A quorum was established when the meeting was opened up. The fact that they left doesn't matter, in my opinion. I gave them that legal opinion. Action that was taken at that time was purportedly legal on its face. The problem was, in the course of that action, it included the appointment of Mr. Batesel to Ms. DeBacco's seat, which really effectively was Kirk Rowan's seat. And that was clearly illegal. So we argued that case, and most of you were present in the courtroom and heard the judge and heard the case. So everybody heard the evidence and what was presented. They heard the lawyers, they heard everybody, and the judges ruled. The judge ruled in writing that the borough has the right at this meeting, the February 7th meeting, to review all of the actions taken by council at the January 3rd meeting and then either accept it or modify it. So it's the judge's ruling that said that.
That's exactly right. But
So we
he's
followed-
invalidating the January 3rd meeting. The January 3rd meeting did take place. They didn't have to vote to accept it, but those meetings, that minutes are still there.
Correct. But they're voted down, they're not approved.
Right. They're not. But the meeting did take place.
And
And
the
they're gonna go,
minutes,
they should go through, the council should go through the actions that were taken, those 16 motions, wherever they were, and decide if they want them to stand, change them, rescind them, whatever they want to do.
Right, that's according to the court. Okay, can we move on to your next?
well, let's go through the minutes and, on page 1, Jack Dalton makes a motion, to, vacate the council seat. And I'd like to make a motion to rescind that motion back to January 3rd because that seat was already occupied.
That's already been taken care of by the courts.
Yeah, that was through the court, so that's already done.
Okay,
So that would be redundant for you to make a motion to rescind something that's been handled by the judge.
But I don't think so, Madam President. I think, as Director Burrow's solicitor, that motion is a proper motion, so there shouldn't be any confusion. It's confirming what the court did, so I think that motion should go forward.
Well, okay, you guys just want to just keep on and on and on, but
Okay, you have a motion on the floor. State it for the secretary, please.
okay, I make a motion to rescind the, action by Jack Dalton to declare Mary Ann DeBalco's seat, vacant at the, January 3rd, 2022 meeting.
Do you have a second?
I will second that. Keith Payne.
The motion has been made, seconded. You have heard the motion on the floor. Does the public have any comment?
Yeah, I have a question. If the meeting minutes of January 3rd were not accepted, how can they be,
chastise it.
how can they be freestanding if the minutes were never accepted? That doesn't mean they don't, it means they don't exist.
Right.
It's true.
So why do you have to rescind what doesn't exist?
But as solicitor, I can tell you that the actions that were taken should be reviewed, the judge directed it to be done, so it should all be spelled out that council tonight review those actions, and they can take whatever action they feel appropriate on each and every one that was taken. It just follows the court order.
Exactly, because they have the majority. Okay, you have a motion on the floor and a second. Do you want to read that motion, please, Ray?
Motion to rescind the action by Jack Dalton, about the.
To vacate, hang on.
It wasn't vacated, but to declare Mary Ann DeBarco's seat vacant January 3rd, 2022.
Great. And I make a motion to rescind that motion and Jack declare Mary Ann.
Right, yes, he just read that. Okay, do I have a motion and a second? All those in favor, please state your name.
Keith Payne, those in favor, ma'am.
All those in favor?
Darrell Haynes in favor. Donald Haynes Jr.
All those opposed?
Jack Down opposed.
Gail Redden opposed.
Kristen Potter opposed.
That motion has been approved. Please state that in minutes.
I
And
think
your,
that motion's been approved because Kirk Brown only stated his name, he didn't state yes or no, so. You didn't say Kirk Brown, yes, you just said Kirk Brown.
that's just yes or no, okay.
You gotta say yes or no on the motion. That's what he's asking.
Okay, all right.
You
Next,
only said your name.
all right, what's the next on the agenda? Your agenda.
Okay,
What other things from our valid reorganizational meeting do you need to rescind?
Okay. Next on your agenda, Darrell.
I'd like to make a motion to modify the action of hiring Ray Wood as secretary treasurer to include the right to know officer.
Why on earth would you want, we have a valid, honest secretary, why would you want to not have him?
That wasn't my motion.
So you said rescind.
To right to know.
No,
I'd like to modify the motion that the secretary treasurer Ray Wood is also the right to know officer.
It's Woods with an S, but
It's different what you said.
I think what you said.
Yeah, that wasn't.
You can change it.
Right. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor. that he-
So, let me just read it again, to make sure I'm clear. Modify the action of Ray Woods as secretary treasurer to the right to know officer.
no,
To
and,
include right to know.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
to include it,
Yeah.
okay.
When I read it.
Participating on the secretary.
Yes.
Okay, do you have a second?
yes, Keith Payne, second.
There's a motion on the floor that Ray also be the right to know
Randy, will you read that
officer.
motion back so I make sure I've got this straight?
So it's a motion to modify the action of nominating Ray Woods to secretary treasurer of the borough to include right to know officer.
So you're keeping him as secretary
Yes.
treasurer, right? Okay. Be clear.
There is a
The motion was
motion.
modified to include the right to know officer.
Right to know. There's a motion on the floor. Is there any public comment? If not, we'll entertain a vote. All those in favor?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Donald Haynes Jr., yes.
Yes.
Jack Down, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Kristen Potter, yes.
The first unanimous vote of the night.
Moving on, okay. Well, it was something that made sense.
It's a record.
It's something that made sense. All right, can we move
Agreed
on?
on one thing.
Right. It's, and something that was not nonsensical. Okay, your next point of order.
I make a motion to modify the action taken to set the pay for newly appointed secretary treasurer, right to know officer Ray Woods at the rate paid to the previous secretary treasurer, as well as to reimburse appropriate expenses required to perform the duties. I'd like to modify that to set the pay for the newly appointed secretary treasurer and rights to know officer Ray Woods at $375. You can let me know when you're done with that, I'll continue.
Okay.
So to set the pay for newly appointed secretary treasurer and right to know officer Ray Woods at $375. And in order for Ray Woods to be reimbursed for appropriate expenses required to perform his duties, an invoice and receipts will be submitted and reviewed by Strucka Borough Council prior to any motions made to approve those expenses, retroactive to January 3rd, 2022.
Heard the motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Kirk Rowan has seconded this motion, is there any public comment?
I find it ironic that they could appoint Ray several months ago, but suddenly now it's okay. When he offered and has been without a secretary for several meetings and without a legitimate present treasurer. But now all of a sudden, Mr. Woods and his offer to be our secretary is finally noted.
Gotta start someplace.
Yeah.
Keith, what was
This-
the?
I have a question.
Yes, excuse me.
No,
Ex-
Retroactive back to January 3rd, so any
Yes, Ted.
expenses that occurred from.
There's someone waiting to be heard, Ted.
So 375, per,
That's per month, yes.
Right.
does that imply, I just want to make.
You can add that to it, thank you. Yes, $375 per month.
Is that the same as the other secretary treasurer got?
I believe that was the rate of
I
pay.
believe you don't.
Yes.
Thank you, Keith.
So if we're adding the job of right to know officer, why are we keeping the pay the same?
Well, that was the thing.
That was the same for the secretary treasurer slash right to know officer.
Oh, I misunderstood because she didn't really send out the things that people requested. So I was a little
Okay.
confused about that.
I will second that.
Moving right along, is that now we have a secretary that's not a council member taking the minutes, which is a total violation as it has been in the last 3 months. At any rate, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any other public comment? All those in favor?
You read the motion back. I forgot
Sorry.
what the motion was.
Okay, very good. Please read the motion
All
back.
right, motion to modify the action to set the pay of the secretary treasurer and rights to know officer,
Ray Woods at $375 per month.
and in order for Ray Woods to be reimbursed, he will need to provide receipts
Which is normal.
for any expenses,
And approved by council.
and that will be approved by-
Right, then that's a normal procedure. Okay, you've heard the motion. We've had
Retroactive back to January 3rd.
retroactive. We did
Okay.
have that. All right, we entertain the vote. All those in favor?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Jack Dunn.
Donald Haynes Jr., yes.
Kirk Rowan, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Well, they're so used to following each other that other people don't get
Okay.
to talk.
All right, let's
Did
move on.
Mr. Doughton vote? I didn't hear that.
Yes.
Yes,
Kristen Potter, yes.
okay. Next on your agenda,
Make a make a motion to rescind action to hire Donald Karpowitz, attorney at law, retroactive to January 3rd, 2022.
you have a second to your motion?
I will second that motion.
Any
Keith Payne will second that motion.
Is there any public comment on the fact that,
Yes, he said retroactive to January 3rd. There's only one problem. He wasn't a lawyer until tonight. So how do you retroactively take him to January 3rd? So between January 3rd.
I'll let the borough attorney
So
answer
between
that.
January 3rd and now, the borough had no legal advice, no legal,
I'll let the borough attorney answer
I'm
that.
not asking the attorney, I'm asking you, and you.
That's what we got the borough attorney here for.
I'm not asking the attorney, he is not
Okay, then
council member,
I
he
have
does
no-
not vote.
I have no
This is
comment.
your- oh my.
all right, point of order. Okay, Mr. Boucher, would you care to address this then?
Sure, I would address it. Council is at its discretion to determine whether or not they want to make motions retroactive. So it's purely a discretionary thing. Now, the issue is, and I don't doubt that Mr. Logston represented the borough, and I don't doubt that he did good legal work. I saw his legal work, and he's a fine lawyer, and he did good legal work. To say he is not the lawyer is one thing. To pay him for what he did is another thing. I don't know that there's ever been a bill submitted to him for what he did. That should be another thing the council should look at, because he likely acted in good faith based on what he was told.
Actually, he did.
I'm
And
sure
so
he did.
then, the motion should read then that he's not the borough solicitor, you are, but that he should be paid for the work that he did legitimately for this council.
But that's, and Madam President, if I may, that's a different motion. The motion is that he's not the borough solicitor going back to January 3rd. If there's another motion saying reimburse him for a bill or something, that's a separate thing, and you can deal with that at the time. Okay?
But if you declare him not the lawyer,
Right,
then why would these people pay him?
right.
Because
That's-
they could believe that he acted in good faith, or they
They
could.
could.
They didn't have to in good faith. They can.
All right,
Our same argument, we can say that we hired him because you did state in court that we legitimately could hold a meeting. We legitimately held a meeting, and we hired him as the attorney.
In all due respect, Jack, and I will say this, and I don't know how much you knew from what the lawyer said, but I was aware that council members, the 4 council members, sent a letter to Mr. Logston with exactly the same case that I put in my brief saying, you gotta straighten this out now before it goes to court. It shouldn't have to go to court. And tried to get it to get resolved before it went to court.
Back up and say, you said that was in Logston's brief?
No. The case that the judge used to decide the case,
Yes.
Wosley is the case.
Yes.
Is the case that I put in my brief, the lawyers file briefs.
right.
I put it in I attached a copy of that case because I found it. These 4 guys signed a letter, sent it, my understanding is they sent it to Logston ahead of time saying, look, here's the case. You can't do this. You can't appoint Batesville. Rowan is the rightfully appointed guy. Don't do this. Straighten this out now.
But the argument was, what about the vacancy board? I mean, that's today's code book.
Oh, did you
How
read
many
the-
of us
did you read the
goes
court
back-
case? Did you read the court case on that?
Yes, I did, Darrell, but
Okay.
what I'm saying is, it was the argument in court. It was a common sense argument. We're trying to follow borough code. Borough code is 30 days vacancy board. You admitted for 30 days the vacancy board was not there.
That's right.
So why wouldn't we think that's the way it was?
Because the case clearly said no, it said it's directory. And the case was given to Mr. Logston before this lawsuit was ever filed. It was given to him ahead of time. So if he looked at it and read it and said, you know, he's right. 33, 35 days, it doesn't matter. As long as no petition was filed, because I actually don't understand, Jack. As long as no petition was filed in court, council appoints. And this is exactly what Judge Mears said.
And we were on the works of getting it in court.
But you didn't get it, I know, Jack, in fairness, you didn't get it there for whatever reason. We're not gonna.
Okay, point of order. We could debate this all night.
Right.
Point of order, we have a motion on the floor. Now, Darrell, you're saying that the motion is stating that Sean was never the borough attorney, so then he cannot be recompensed for all the time he put in for the borough council. Is this your motion?
Mr. Wood, will you read my motion back?
Yeah, motion to rescind the action to name the Sean Logston's law firm, Donald Kirkpatrick, retroactively to January 3rd, 2020. 2.
So in stating it that way, you're saying he was never the borough attorney from that moment, so none of his billing hours
No,
could be paid.
that ain't part of my motion. You're adding words to my motion, so that's
So-
what
Yeah, it's not in the motion.
My question would be, since
Why?
you have hired Mr. Bouget, why can your motion not be to just, as of today, terminate Mr. Larson?
That wasn't my motion.
But I'm asking you why it can't be. Why can't that be the motion? And why does that have to be retroactive when he did act as our borough lawyer, because we had no lawyer?
That's the motion I made.
All right, you've heard the motion, is there a second?
Because we know where he's going.
Keith Payne seconded that motion.
All right, is there any public comment on the motion that is on the floor?
Is the Borough Council going to pass a motion to pay Sean Logston for the time that he put in representing in good faith the council?
Well, I do intend to make that motion, but there is a motion on the floor. Kathy? Okay. All those in favor of Darrell's motion?
Donald Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Donald Haynes Jr., yes.
Art Brown, yes.
Jack Down, no.
Gail Redden, no.
Kristen Potter, no.
4-3.
No.
I would like to make a motion that we pay Mr. Loxton for the work he did as the acting borough solicitor from January 3rd until today.
You have a bill?
No, he is sending us the
Well,
bill.
I think you ought to review the
You
bill
are-
first.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure
Well,
Mr. President,
when we
Madam
receive-
President didn't call for public comment.
It's not all the time, I'm the solicitor now.
When we receive the invoice, the billing statement from him, that should be on the record that we are making a motion when we receive it, that we should pay the bill.
Well, does that pay in advance without seeing what he charged? I think you need to.
Well, we've done that many times.
All the time. We
For
did that
years.
just last month.
Actually, Darrell could always present things at meetings to pay bills that he never had a bill, whether it be road work, whatever. He was always, we gotta pay millers, or we gotta pay so-and-so, or we're done, where's the bill?
We don't
Don't know,
have
we don't
it.
have
I
it.
can clear this really quick, Ron. For you to sit there and say that, we've already been through this with Darrell and the other three, because when you sent the bill in for like $1,100, probably a lot to do with the community hall. I think it was in November, December, might have been December, $1,100.
Yeah.
I asked Darrell if I could see the bill, and they had no bill, but they paid your bill, so. Here we are.
As solicitor, I'm telling you, you all should be able to see the bills.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm
but
telling
We
you.
should, you're exactly right, but I'm sorry, Mr. Haynes doesn't follow those rules.
So now we have to follow rules.
I'm here at the meeting, I'm trying to help things get better. I'm saying that all should be able to see.
They're
the
not,
bills.
because they all have an agenda. And we know where they're going.
And they all set it up.
And we know that Mr. Rowe could not accept that the electors of this borough voted him out, and he lost to a write-in candidate.
Point of order, we have a motion on the floor, there is a second.
Look at me, all
Is there any other public comment? Okay. Point of order, there is a motion on the floor, all those in favor,
Could you read that
please.
motion back?
Motion to pay Sean Loxton from January 3rd, 2022 to today for the work that he performed for the borough.
Darrell Haynes, no.
Keith Payne, no.
Jack Down, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Donald Haynes Jr., no.
Art Brown, no.
Kristen Potter, yes.
Appreciate it, your good faith.
Yep, there's your good faith of your buddies on the council.
Okay. Done with the comments. Okay, next on your agenda,
I did not kick you, Mr. Rowe.
What did you do?
I did nothing to you.
all right. That's enough.
Stop, stop. Let's get through this.
All right. Next.
Before I make that motion, I would like to make an adjustment. Are you the borough solicitor?
Yes.
Would you like to sit at the right hand of God?
Madam President wants me to
Yes.
sit up at the table, I will. I'll stay here. I'll sit with Madam President directly to sit.
You look fine right there.
Yes.
We'll
You're
see us all, we
comfortable?
can see you.
Right.
Madam President owns the meeting.
Purchase of these, Director.
Okay, the next on your agenda,
I make a motion to modify the action to set, disregard, to have secretary contact the purchaser of the old Struckaborough Hall to secure and provide access only to the Secretary Ray Woods and Constable Dave Soden to the records stored within. I would like to modify that to have the secretary contact the purchaser of the old Struckaborough Hall, Dave and Verdette, to secure and provide access only to the secretary, Ray Woods, and Constable Dave Soden to the records stored within, and to allow Secretary Woods, under the supervision of Constable Dave Soden, to transfer all borough records contained in the old Struckaborough Hall and secure them at the Strucka Baptist Social Room Closet within 14 days.
I'll second that motion.
there's a motion on the floor. Is there any public or council comment?
Jack down, no.
I would wonder why we are storing our records in a building that we do not have full control over.
And it is a church.
Yes, why we're storing our records in a church, buying a church, supporting a church with our borough money. Of course they
Is
can.
there any other comment on the
I
motion?
personally take-
So, the motion is that I alone with supervision of Dave Soden have access to the records to move them to the water closet in the social room, correct?
Correct.
At the Baptist
Do we
church.
want to add that I'm the only one with
Right.
supervision of Dave Soden, that I have access to that closet?
Yes.
I would like to
Was that in there?
No, but you are the secretary, you will be the only one to have access to that and
Somebody else
supervise.
has already been in there.
Excuse me?
Who has the key to that besides Dave Burdell?
What I could suggest is if, we're gonna have to get a lock to secure that. So if,
You didn't give me a question.
okay, I'm sorry.
How do you know nobody has, Darrell, do you have a key to that?
No.
Jack, do you have a key?
Yes, I do. I have our cops key that Kirk gave me.
That is to the hall. Is that to the deadbolt that is on the,
I would imagine, but I don't know. I've never
The key
tried.
that I had as secretary, I turned over to Debbie, back in 2018. And that was, I
how
had,
do you know she's never gone in there and got anything?
I can't speak to that.
I mean, the door's not locked.
To the records room?
No, it is locked to the records room. One door is not.
One door over here at the old community hall, one door was never locked.
There's
What
no
door
lock
was
on the
that?
door. No.
Which
There's
door
no
was that?
glass to it.
We weren't able to get in. Both doors seemed secured.
Yeah, but
What,
the one door did not have a lock, but it was swollen so bad it wouldn't open.
the exterior door you're talking about?
No, we're talking about
We're talking about the door on the
so-
stage that goes into the little closet room where the records are stored. At the bottom of the steps, there's a deadbolt lock.
Correct.
We need a key to get in there. Dave Riddell already said, whenever we have to use it, I think he's already given Ray Woods the key,
Yep, I got the key from him on the.
and we're just
on
waiting to see where's the clicker ring.
Okay.
As far as that room being secured, I originally put that deadbolt on that door, but I secured the back door so it couldn't be opened from the outside at that time.
Ah, okay. That explains.
That was.
Explains why Tom Galliard couldn't force it open.
That's when I was on council previous.
Well, I'll hand my keys back over to you folks down there.
I would like to know what church members are going to have a key for this closet in case they would need to get in there, because
That was brought up at the meeting, that the church asked to know who had a key so they could contact them if they have to get into it. That was brought up at the meeting. Correct?
What is going to be in this closet? Just borough records?
Just borough records,
Or-
yes.
Then why would someone from the church need a key?
Because there's something in
There,
there.
there is a water heater in
Water
there,
heater.
and an on-demand water heater in
Then
there.
they should contact the secretary.
Correct. And will that,
The
any church member that needs access to that
Must
have
call
to be
Ray.
supervised?
They are not gonna get a key to that closet. Ray will have the 2 keys that come with the lock, and that's
And
it.
they'll be supervised when they enter it?
Correct.
Any church member?
No, I don't think so. I think there should be a designated member for the church like there's a designated member for the borough.
But they should not go there unattended,
No, only the
especially
secretary.
since there's a member of council that is a
I'm
church
going to be on
member.
call on vacation, I can guarantee you that.
He's got no key. He's got to be
$75 a month.
Right, oh, I see what you're saying. Not to have a key, but the contact person at the church. Right.
There's got to be one contact.
Dave,
Right.
I think what they should do is change, he should be able to get a different lock for that closet over there and change it, so he's the only one that
Right,
has
that's what
the key.
Right, right. A
And
lock,
not leave that, and not have that new, or the old one.
there currently is no lock on that door. We will get a lock. A
Well,
new
no,
lock.
the secretary should get the lock.
Okay,
And I think he should
Okay.
get it,
Yeah.
If he's the only one that's gonna be
Help with
using that, and get it, and keep them, because otherwise, that's like me working in the post office.
Right, I have no issue with that.
Ronnie Brownell could not get into my post office even though he owned it.
Right,
Because-
that
and-
would
but that's
take
what
me
it
out of
should
the
be.
loop, and I agree,
The
that's
whole
fine.
exit block has to
Yeah.
be
So-
changed, so nobody else can get it.
Yeah.
Why don't you get a safe and stick it in the corner?
There's too many records.
It's-
A lot of totes. A lot of totes. That's the other record.
So I do have a question as the person that would be
It's
the
fireproof?
key master. That's a little 80s reference for everybody. So if I'm the only one who has access to the records and I go on vacation and their water heater breaks, I gotta come back? I mean,
No, absolutely not.
we're gonna cut, I guess you gotta cut the lock, right?
There should be an alternate.
It's a town of 163 people.
There should be an alternate.
I just don't think.
How big is
it's not
this?
in the water closet.
Water closet.
Or water heater.
It's not very big.
I mean, you got quite a few totes that's over in that, at least they were back over there. You got quite a few totes, there's two, big steel cabinets that's got full of papers in there. I mean, we got a lot of borough stuff that's in there.
It's not very big.
So, and then again, is this really the smartest thing to do to put borough documents in water? I mean, eventually we could have a water leak and ruin the borough documents, like, I guess only in Struck Borough, but it don't make a lot of sense for me to make.
Carly,
We think this is a
Question
great
for our
idea.
solicitor. Is it legal to take documents 5, 10, 15, 20 years old and scan them and have them on electronic files?
It is legal, but
Because at the law firm I used to work at, that was part of my daily duties.
it's certainly a great idea for a backup. It's a great idea for a backup. And I think what Mr. Denton said makes a lot of sense in the sense that we really want, it's probably not a long-term solution. I think what you do need is a long-term solution for your records. And I understand that there are some issues and difficulties with the records. You might want to consider maybe getting a college kid over the summer to work part-time or something as a project and maybe help organize the records. But you need to secure the records. The records have to be secure. And I think you need a long-term solution. So hopefully, we get a committee, Madam President can appoint a committee or something to look into it and come up with some ideas for a long-term solution. For now, and Mr. Woods made a good suggestion. He can't be the only guy. Maybe Mr. Sullivan can have the key or something else, but you gotta have people like those keys.
someone trustworthy.
And I do believe that our esteemed secretary, Mr. Woods, does have a long plan for scanning documents. It was briefly mentioned.
Yeah, it would be nice to make,
To have that
make our documents digital and accessible
There's a
by the
safety.
public.
Lou,
Yes, I would suggest the lock that you get has secured keys. 2 keys, the stamp on the keys cannot be duplicated. Under no circumstances can these keys be duplicated. Could you combine a lock with keys that are stamped that way? And so if it's brought to a locksmith, that locksmith can't legally duplicate that key. That way there'll only be 2 keys.
okay, would you care to amend your motion? The motion on the floor is stated as, right?
I don't have it all.
Can you read what you have, right?
So, motion to modify the action to secure the content of the, correct, the records, to move the records within 14 days.
Modify an action taken to have the secretary contact, you've contacted him and to have the secretary contact the purchaser of the old Struckaborough Hall to secure and provide access only to the secretary, Ray Woods, and Constable Dave Soden, to the records stored within, and to allow Secretary Woods, under the supervision of Constable Dave Soden, to transfer, okay, let me know when you're ready.
I mean,
Yeah.
mean, I've got it recorded, so I'm gonna be able
Okay, I
to
see.
transcribe it, like,
Yes.
so.
Okay.
I can't read it back because I don't have internet access here,
Okay.
because we're in Straka, otherwise it would be transcribing it for me and
All right,
writing
well, I
it, so
was-
I'll have exactly what you have.
Okay.
So if you just read it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, there's a motion on the floor,
No, let him
All right,
finish
to
this, 'cause we made some modifications.
Right.
okay?
To transfer all borough records contained in the old Straka Borough Hall and to secure them at the Straka Baptist Church social room closet within 14 days. To allow Ray Woods to purchase and install lock on said closet door that will be that motion. We can make another motion to appoint, a backup to you with regard to the keys, etc.
You've all heard the motion that's on the floor, as read. Dave?
Question, will the auditors ever have to get in there for records doing their audit?
They can be supervised to go in with Mr. Ray Woods, the secretary. As long as the secretary's there to supervise people going in.
So every time they want to work on the audit.
What's that?
Fellowship, every time they want to work on the audit, and fellowship.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I said, every time the auditors want to work on the audits, they have to contact Ray Woods, go down there and sit there while they do the audit to supervise.
Is it my understanding that the secretary needs to supervise anyone?
No, the secretary doesn't have to be a babysitter.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense to have Mr. Wood go down there every time they work on the audit.
He doesn't have to be a
I believe how it's working, and correct me if I'm wrong, solicitor, is that I would access the records that they request and hand them to them.
Correct.
And that would be a transfer of custody.
Yeah, and a good idea might be just to have them sign a little something identifying the records they took, so everybody knows, and you keep a receipt.
And plus, are not these records in my community hall, are they not older records?
Yes.
That's a totally different thing for the audit, the records that we need now from the past secretaries for the auditors for the last few years. So then these are older records at any rate. So then you hand over custody after they sign for what they have. All right, you've entertained the motion that's on the floor. All those in favor?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Jack Down, no.
Gail Redden, no.
Donald Haynes Jr., yes. Art Brown, yes.
Kristen Potter, no?
And your next,
Does anybody want to be a backup to Mr. Woods with regard to holding a key if he is unavailable or out of town?
I'll make a motion to have the president be the backup to the secretary. To access the records room.
I'll second that motion.
there's a motion on the floor. Does any comment from the public
No.
or the council
Did you say the
members?
motion again, sir? I didn't hear the motion.
Motion to have the president be the backup to the secretary.
To access,
No, for access.
Or
to access the records room.
I think the constable should be the backup.
I beg your pardon?
I think the constable should be the backup.
I agree.
Somebody who doesn't have voting rights.
No council members.
Would you be amenable to that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Could you want to amend your motion to make Dave Soden, the constable, the backup?
No, I'll hold my motion because there have been times Dr. Rowe has always had a constable throughout the
Which
year.
this is true.
We do have one now.
So I have a question for our solicitor. Since there is clear as day that the council members should not be creating minutes and doing the work of the secretary at meetings, does it make sense for the council member, or is it legal for the council members to have access to the records at some other time?
It is legal for the council member, any of the council members can have access to the records.
at
That's
any
legal.
time.
That'd be correct. Madam President is correct. Now, you might want to think about it, an assistant secretary that might stand in that shoe, and, of course, you could have Mr. Soden, or you could have someone else. I think all your suggestions make a lot of sense. It's a question of practicality. Ideally, if Mr. Woods is away, someone else is around this year.
Right, and both Dave and I live here, so it doesn't matter to me, but there is a motion on the floor
I
now.
think either one are acceptable as far as I'm concerned from a legal standpoint.
What if you're not the president, Karen?
I beg your pardon?
What if you're not the president?
Doesn't
What
matter.
am I, not the president?
Whoever's president.
I think if you name a person, I think Madam President, Ms. Redden here is the one name. I think she should be the one that was, I put in the motion to have the backup.
There is a motion on the floor that I be the backup. Darrell's made the motion, seconded by,
I'll second it.
Well, no, it's the president, Darrell didn't change it.
Okay, I'm not trying to
Yes, that's what I said.
No, he just said the
Let
president.
him, he's gonna modify.
oh, the president.
I can modify it to Gail Redmond.
Yes, you can.
Are you modifying your motion?
Yeah, I will, to modify it to include Gail Redmond's name.
You got her down, Ray?
Yep, Gail Redmond be the backup.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Jack Down, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Alan Haynes Jr., yes.
Kurt Malone, yes.
Kristen Potter, yes.
Now, moving on, your next,
Okay, I make a motion that Demi Travis has the authority to do all the quarterly and year-end reports for 2021 year.
you are, that's redundant, you already had that in your December meeting, you had hired her for $200 to finish all year-end reports. So that was already done, you have already
Is it for
made that.
2022 or 21?
21, you've already done that.
Been taken care
That's
of.
the way to make that motion.
They have that in minutes.
That was in, yeah, that was in your minutes.
Yeah, I don't have those.
Um,
They haven't been provided to
Because
me.
they didn't have minutes, because they didn't secretary.
Yeah, that was, well, it was at the meeting.
Yeah, she was already hired to do your reports. I was at that meeting.
Yeah.
$125.
Was that the 22nd?
And the end of year report should be done as of January
I read
31st,
minutes, that's what I remember.
correct?
Timetables are timetables.
Right. Yes, that's,
So she's
you
done.
may make that motion, but you've already done that, you've hired her to do that, that was already
I'll still keep the
official,
motion on the floor.
okay?
Can I ask what reports she still needs to do?
No, she's done as of January 31st. Motion, correct?
Like, what are these reports that she still needs to do from 2021?
I didn't say at this time there's any reports to do, I just made a
Then why
motion.
would we hire someone if she has nothing to do?
I just made a motion if she had the authority to do for the year 2021.
So we're hiring someone when she has no work to do that you know of?
You can twist my motion any way you want.
No,
I
I'm
made
just
a
trying to
motion
get
That she
clarification.
had
What are we
authority-
actually hiring her
That she had
for?
authority to do the quarterly and year-end reports for the year 2021.
So
My
which
motion
ones are
doesn't
not
say
done?
that they aren't done. My motion doesn't say it. The
But
motion
she was
says,
already hired to
Yeah,
do
she has-
your report.
that's my motion, that she has the authority to do the quarterly and year-end reports for 2021.
Which in turn will be handed over to the auditors. The auditors need access to everything. That is the law. That cannot be deviated from. So when your motion is stating you're hiring Demi to do the year-end reports, correct?
I made a motion that Demi Travis has the authority to do all the quarterly and year-end reports for the year 2021.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, comment.
That motion was already made at a meeting.
Correct.
And voted on,
And voted on.
and passed.
Because she was getting $125 from October when she resigned as secretary, and you rehired her for treasurer that month for $125. Then I believe it was November maybe, in the meeting, you made a motion to hire Demi Travis and additionally pay her an additional $200 for the year-end report.
Right.
I'm sure Kurt remembers it. Keith, you gotta remember, just get enough intestinal fortitude to speak up.
As I stated, that's redundant because you had
That's okay.
already made that motion, those
Okay,
those minutes
that's
were
the
approved.
motion on the floor, so she got the authority, and she's not getting paid any more
Yeah.
money.
Can you make a motion for something you've already done?
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Public comment. As I state, I will state emphatically right now, this is redundant, however, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Carly, sorry.
I just have to say that if she was hired, I know it was voted on December 22nd, and she was hired to do the books, and she was supposed to finish them up by January 30, or by December 31st,
Yes.
to do the 2021 fiscal year. Why is it February 7th, and we're still talking about her getting the year-end books done?
Because she didn't do it.
That's a valid question.
It's a valid question.
You should already have this.
The
This
auditors,
should be done.
the auditors requested the year-end paperwork before January 15th, so we could get started.
That's the answer for alternative.
Well, I don't know what was done in the past. I don't know how that was handled in the
You
past.
know, even on the quotes and all that.
You're probably right, Jack, and all I can say is there is a motion on the floor. It says what it says,
Yeah.
and you can debate it all you want, but you gotta vote on it when we're there.
That's right.
So are you saying that the quarterly reports that you wanted her to do, that you voted on previously, have not been done yet, so you're redoing your vote?
Ray, would you read my motion?
I don't care about your motion.
Yes, I do, because the motion is what
There has
counts.
to be a reason for
The
your
motion is
motion.
what
You
counts.
could answer the question, have the
The
year-end
motion
reports
is
been
what
done?
counts.
Have they been done?
Darrell, if they haven't, I'd just like to be able to write to DCEC and request extensions, because we only have 90 days
Right.
to fulfill the audit. And if I have to request an extension, then I'd like fair notice that we can do that. And not put the
That's why the
borough, and not
question,
put the borough
if it's
in the
being
bind.
done.
You better do it.
And I'm gonna hurt you to get an extension anyway if you have to.
Right.
You need an extension. so-
All right, there's a motion on the floor, could we entertain it?
Yeah,
A vote.
I'll read it again. Darrell Haynes made a motion condemning Travis to finish the quarterly and year-end reports.
No, to have the authority.
Has the authority, I'm sorry, could you read my writing? To finish has the authority to do the quarterly and year-end reports for 2021.
Entertain the vote. All those in favor?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Jack down, no.
Gail Redden, no.
Donald Haynes Jr., yes.
Art Brown, yes.
Kristen Potter, no.
Okay, moving right along, now you can answer my question and the question of the auditors. Have those reports been done? It's either a yes or no, or you don't know. There are three options for you.
You're right.
Which, do you know,
I don't know.
and why? I mean, wouldn't that be something you would?
I didn't do them.
Why would you motion to hire someone when you have no idea if things are done or not?
Okay, let's go on to your next point.
I make a motion to modify the meeting place to be at 521 Strucker Creek Road at the Baptist Social Room.
I'm sorry, was that address 51?
I believe it's 521 at the Baptist Social Room.
Do you have a second?
I will second that motion, Keith Payne.
Okay, seconded the motion. Is there public comment?
I think it's nicer here without all the book stuff everywhere.
I vote no.
I have comments. I personally am uncomfortable having our borough council meetings at a church when we're not even allowed to vote there because the only handicap accessible entrance to the church, which it is still a church, is through the sanctuary. So you are, playing a little game here with your church and state, and I don't care about the crazy contract that you wrote up. But it is not an acceptable place for us to hold municipal business.
I do concur with that because there are those that are uncomfortable, that have to use handicap access walking through the sanctuary of a church. And everyone's entitled to their beliefs, entitled to their opinions on this. But that's just my opinion.
You
Anyone
are de
from,
facto showing support for this church.
is anyone from the else? Ted,
Their opinions or their beliefs don't really matter, it's the Constitution that matters.
that's right.
Correct.
is exactly what I'm saying, so that, to invalidate someone who would wish to come to a meeting and would have to walk through a sanctuary of a church with everything that signifies that it is a sanctuary, a chapel. To me, that is wrong, because everyone should be able to feel comfortable attending a council meeting, irrespective of your beliefs or anything. You should not be made uncomfortable if you need handicapped access. My opinion and the opinion of the Constitution of the United States. But anyone else has?
Excuse me, but where have we voted? I remember when we could not vote the Hall Board, when Cindy Furman and one of the board of directors come up and said, because they're blackballed, they were not going to allow it.
Right.
She looked at the church, she looked at this place.
Right.
And we have voted here because Cindy Furman, a board member who was an attorney, I believe, said because of the handicap and going through the church, it wasn't people being uncomfortable, but something could disappear out of the church.
This is true.
Stressing. That is why they came here.
Right.
It's not that people don't feel comfortable with it.
Right.
Just
Well,
look at
I myself don't feel comfortable over there. I'm a duly elected council member, elected by this borough, and I do not feel comfortable meeting in a church. It's a violation of my rights.
Well, let's just let our votes be known, and these guys give it a little
I-
vote. Whatever happens,
You know,
it's on their back.
there is a time when everyone needs to do the right thing, irrespective of your agenda. It's time to stand up and do the right thing.
So,
Not to just follow along, but to do the right thing for everyone in this community. We are a community, and everyone's rights need to be respected. The Constitution needs to be respected, and we'll go from there. All right, there is a motion on the floor.
I have a question for the solicitor. Sorry, Ron. We're going to take advantage of your wife.
Sure, I'm here.
Well, first for Daryl, do we have a signed contract with the church?
I don't know that.
Okay, Daryl, do we have a signed contract with the church?
We can get one.
Have we signed the contract that you presented previously with the church to buy the church?
Yeah.
Right. So then my question is, if we have a signed contract that we have not closed on the church, do we have to have a contract with the owner of the church? And do we have to have a nominal fee to pay? Or can we just wink, wink, nudge, nudge and say, we'll just meet there one day a week, a month? I'm just asking.
Good point. The wink, wink, nudge, nudge doesn't work. But you should have some agreement or understanding, preferably in writing, as to the use of the church. It can be a letter outlined, signed by both sides. Doesn't have to be any money paid, but some kind of an idea or understanding should be memorialized and signed by both parties going forward if you're going to use the church. On the other points, there are a lot of valid points made against not using the church and other points made for using the church. I don't think any of the points that were made, although very valid as practical reasons, nullify the use of the church. So it's up to you to decide if you want to use the church or not. But you make valid points, all of them.
Can you read back the valid points for the use of the church that were made?
The valid points for the use of the church?
Yeah.
What were they?
Sorry.
What were the valid points for using the church?
I don't think he made any.
I think
No.
we might get a contract.
I have a question.
Why don't you argue your opinion with the constituents of your borough? Yep, that's what I thought.
May I ask a question of
Sure.
Mr. Boucher?
Sure.
If a member of the council is a deacon in the church, is he allowed to vote on this matter?
You probably should.
No.
Yes or
Yes or
no?
no?
I'm asking you, yes or
Well,
no?
it depends. When you said he's a deacon,
He's a deacon, a deacon and very high in the hierarchy of the church. Should he vote on this matter?
does he have a pecuniary interest in the outcome?
Absolutely.
How does the deacon benefit pecuniary?
Well, because I'm just asking you, if you have your status as a deacon of the church, should you vote on something so important?
Well, I think it depends on whether he's got a pecuniary interest in it. Now, some churches, a deacon or somebody that is part of the church hierarchy could gain a financial advantage of it. If that's the case, the person shouldn't be allowed to vote on it. So the question really is for that deacon, does that deacon have a pecuniary interest in the outcome of this motion?
My opinion would be the opinion of ethics.
Mr. Boucher, can you just tell me, define what, whatever that interest you said?
Pecuniary
Those
interest.
are just master's degrees?
I'm sorry. Pecuniary means a financial interest in it. Is he going to gain some financial advantage out of it?
I just didn't catch the word.
I'm sorry. Pecuniary.
Pecuniary.
Yeah, it means like financial.
Okay.
Well, the problem up here is there are so few people, and lots of people either know one another or related to one another, and it makes it very hard. Because I know when I was solicitor in the past, you got a very large geographical area controlled by a very few number of voting people. And it's really, and plus you gotta have 7 people on a borough council, you gotta have a mayor, you gotta have all these other things.
I'm talking about the church, specifically the church, and he's the deacon, and the check was made out to his family members for the church. Or they accepted the check for the church.
Well, accepting a check and gaining from it financially are 2 different things. I think the question is, did they gain from it financially?
But no one knows who owns the church. On the deed, it says family members.
Well, that question probably should be asked.
Well, it was. It's
So the
been asked many
membership,
times.
the membership owns the church.
Yes.
They're an independent church.
Why don't we put it out to vote to the taxpayers of the borough? And feel,
Well, that should have been with several other things, from the sale of my hall to the purchase of the Baptist church, should have been on the referendum down the ballot. That's always been my contention. However,
It's a little too late now to do that.
it's too late to do that now, but could you give us the reasons that would be beneficial for the borough to be meeting at the church? Why? What are your reasons for it?
It's being plowed and maintained by the borough.
Pardon?
I said it's the parking lot being plowed, so it's accessible.
plenty of parking.
So wait.
But we don't have a contract, so why are we
Last time
maintaining
they were
it?
there, you couldn't
Well,
even-
no, we may have a contract,
You
but we
said we
don't,
didn't have a contract
well,
with the church.
even if we do, we don't own the building yet, so the contract,
Then we continue to the
does that bind us to service and maintain the building until the contract is closed?
I'm confused.
I'm confused about real estate.
We're confused.
No, I'm sorry.
He says either we don't have a contract, or he's not sure if we have a contract, or what. But December 22nd, I believe they had a special meeting,
Yes.
and Mr. Bujek, there was 4 council members there. Darrell, Keith, Kirk, not Kirk, he wasn't there, because he knew enough not to come, because he couldn't go. Right?
And
Charlie, check.
Charlie Lutchuk, managed old man, you know, that's not healthy, and they drug him in, hadn't been to a meeting in months, because they had to have 4 votes to be majority. And they had been working on this since August, and never made it public to the borough at all, never mentioned it at the council meeting. Now, why do you think President Rome, who had a term of office until December 31st, resigned in November, then in December got reappointed to fill out Mary Ann Tobacco's spot, and their only reason was so they could control council, just like they have tonight. And this is what they've been doing for years, and this is why the people are here. And I think you should help the people, not just those 4 people.
Well, listen, I'm trying to give objective legal advice for everybody, I'm trying to answer everybody's questions.
Yeah, but you're 3 years too late on that.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, we got interrupted. Thank you, Dave. We got interrupted. I guess my question was, and I don't understand the real estate aspect of it, but we have a signed contract with the building, but we are, as a borough, paying and maintaining it before the contract is executed, right? Before we close on the building. Is that correct?
I don't know those facts. You're stating some things that may or may not be true.
Would you like
I
to-
don't know.
I'm concerned.
I haven't been in your contract. My point is, I had asked the question, should the deacon of the church vote on this particular measure?
Yes.
Now, to me, anything done at this council by council members should be for the good of the community.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And also now, the State Ethics Commission will be getting involved in things. So if anyone on this council wishes to vote that shouldn't, Please keep that in mind.
Okay,
Well said, Madam President.
I withdraw my motion.
All right. I beg your pardon?
I withdraw my motion.
So then you're not, in effect, you are not then going against what
We will
we're.
continue to meet here.
Okay, thank you very much. That is on the record that with the motion has been withdrawn. We will continue to meet here, which is a good thing. Okay, your next point.
Actually, I do need to just remind the council that the original motion was only for 60 days, so that's going to be for one more meeting. So council may want to entertain extending that.
Absolutely.
I make a motion,
At least
we
by
extend.
next meeting, the latest.
By next meeting in the latest, yes.
Right.
I make a motion, we extend it for 1 year
I second that motion.
at a rate of $10, at a rate of $10 for the year.
Because he was charging us a
Is
dollar.
it 12?
Well, that would be,
12
that
for
would
the
be
year?
$12.
Per month?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go $12
$12,
a year.
because he said $1 a month. So that would be.
The motion is to extend it
It was
for,
50 cents a month.
for 1 year
Oh, it's 50
at $12 per
It was
year.
a dollar for 60 days.
Okay.
All right, there's a motion on the floor and has been seconded by myself. Is there public comment? Anyone from the council with a comment?
Is there any, what are you gonna do with the records? You guys all need at the church, Dorm here?
Yes, Mr. Garliano, we have a place that can be secured,
Wait, if you already voted on them over there.
yeah, right, but we would have to then, we're going to have to, I beg your pardon?
Rescind that.
We'll just rescind that motion because we have a valid place here, which will, it's the same scenario. It will be locked, the key will, Ray will have the key, and you will, with Dave there, and me as the second if Ray is on
Well,
vacation and not.
do you want to make a motion to strike that motion and somebody else make a motion?
Yes.
To have them? All right.
Yes,
Yeah, because I was going to say we have to do that.
right, that's what we
But
need to do.
first, let's.
But we have a
vote
motion on the
Jack's
floor.
motion first.
So let's address that first.
Madam President, may I just make a comment? Is that if we don't know the situation with the church contract, suppose you're obligated to buy the church in June. Does that make a difference in making this a year contract? Just think about it. Would that make a difference or not?
We probably can afford the
No, because
$12
it's still.
I know it's only $1 a month. I just throw that out. That's all I'm
Right.
saying.
No, because there are so many other factions to this where I doubt that will ever happen.
That's fine. I just thought I'd throw it out.
We can always make another motion.
Right, we can
That's
always
Just
resist
make
that.
the contract with the owner that the
Right.
council can,
Right.
make a contract at any time.
At any time.
Ray, you got my motion, right?
Motion to extend for 1 year at a rate of $12 per year.
Okay, there's the motion.
There is a motion on the floor. All those, could we entertain a vote? All those in favor?
Oh,
Need a second.
Who was seconded? I seconded.
Okay, excuse
Way
me.
back. That's okay. Okay. Those in favor?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Chad Down, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Alan Haynes Jr., yes. Kirk Rosenthal.
Kristen Potter, yes.
All right. Motion carried.
Motion carries.
All right. You're next on your,
I make a motion to modify the meeting time and place to the second Monday at 10 a.m. of the month. If it's a holiday, go to Tuesday.
That
What?
is complete.
No.
10 a.m. in the morning?
That's it.
Yes.
No.
So people that work, duly elected council members that work can attend the meetings?
At what time did you say?
10 a.m.
Absolutely. You know,
That is Darrell.
We have already advertised our meeting times and days for this
Jake,
year
you realize why everybody
at our
against those boards?
reorganizational meeting. That's been done for the.
now, could you give
Posted,
any
advertised.
reasonable explanation as to why you would want them at 10 o'clock? Knowing that Kristen's a teacher, knowing that Jason works, Keith, I don't know, do you work? But he works for
You
Darrell.
work for Darrell.
He works for Darrell. So why would you then entertain a motion where two people could not be here?
In most of the community.
And
You're
most of the
violating-
community.
You're
We could have-
violating people's rights, so you're gonna get into another lawsuit and
That
Good
too
luck.
goes back to the state ethics and the state attorney general, because that, to me, that's wrong. That's just my opinion.
Excuse me, Leo. I did hear Mr. Boujay say in court the other day that, Your Honor, that's the way they've done it up there. We were talking about putting the notice on the post office.
That's correct, I said that.
And he says, that's the way they do it up there. Well, we've been having meetings in this borough council since I was a little kid that I can remember.
Right.
On Monday nights, first Monday month at 7 o'clock. Now, they want to change it to benefit those four who can be here at 10 o'clock in the morning and the working person can't.
Well, I think Mr. Sullivan makes a valid point, and he makes a good suggestion to council. So council needs to take that point into consideration.
And how do you think the vote is gonna go?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
Ted,
Can I ask for some reasoning, an argument of why 10 o'clock on the second Tuesday of every month is better?
Second Monday.
Okay, second Monday.
Unless
Can
it's a
can you
holiday.
just give me something? Give me some argument, some reasoning to the public of why you would hold a meeting when most people are working. I know Melkin's over at 10 o'clock, but a lot of people have jobs that they have to go somewhere. And you're just trying to circumvent your responsibility to represent this community. This is not your council. This council represents us. And this is a blatant attempt to do that.
Number one is, have you ever attended a Preston Township meeting?
We're not.
That's the question. Have you
They have
ever?
3 council members, 3 supervisors that have to be there. They all work, and they can have their private businesses, and they can be there.
right, that's different than a
Most
7-member
supervisors
council.
work at that spot.
Right,
Not all supervisors work for the township.
That-
I said most.
Well,
is the most.
Council of Governments used to meet on a weeknight, once a month, in Starlight. And I know that for a fact, because I used to attend it. If you want to use the township argument, I can use the COG argument.
Okay.
So what is the argument for Preston Township?
No, what is the argument for why Sonora has to do what Preston
I'm-
Township
where-
does?
Where were you going with that?
To a township.
Right.
What was the-
You cannot-
what was the reason?
right, You cannot compare a borough to a township. You're talking about a 7-member council plus the mayor. And you're comparing it to a 3-man supervisor
It's still-
at their
it's
meetings.
still-
That has,
It's still.
and this goes back to,
What does it have to do with us?
right.
What does it have to do with us?
You're going to vote on it.
Manipulation.
So give
So-
give them a reason, not a example.
Is it because it's dark half the year at 7 o'clock? Something that's reasonable.
There are some people get up 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, or
Yeah,
something.
me too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They
A lot
do.
of us do.
I'm up at 5 o'clock
Suck
in
it
the
up.
morning and get to work on time.
And still there almost 7 o'clock at night.
Yep, that's me.
So we're supposed
That's
to
right.
feel sorry for us farmers?
Again, the borough doesn't owe.
think- Aren't you your own boss?
I think Darrell,
Problem?
right, the council is supposed to act for the entire community. And I think you really need to reconsider what you're trying to do right at this point. Because there are consequences to actions, always. And if you want to keep your motion on the floor, please be my guest.
So, can we hear from the solicitor? What's your opinion, sir?
Well, it's not for me to say how council should actually run itself and when they should have their meetings. I think it's important to have public participation in meetings. I think that's very important
So-
in any municipality.
You're a smart and educated man. Do you think that in a working community, that 10 o'clock in the morning is better than 7 o'clock at night?
Probably not, but I don't know the working community. I haven't started to understand the number of farmers in Straka.
No, there are mostly sold
Yeah,
out.
there's not that many.
Darrell's the only
So,
one left.
here's my question.
Everybody else is
Mr.
working out of
Solicitor.
town.
Is it okay, knowing that one of their duly elected council members cannot attend at that time, is it okay for them to just say, yeah, we don't care if Kristen shows up ever?
Well, I think that's a strong consideration.
She's
It's
a
a
school
very strong
teacher.
It is a
She
strong
can't,
consideration.
she can't be here at 10 o'clock in the morning. She's in school.
I think that's a very strong consideration.
But it's not gonna matter to the 4 of them.
Well, okay, point of order. Darrell, do you wish to keep your motion on the floor?
Yes.
I find it reprehensible that the concerns and the issues facing this community are not addressed by members of this council. We work for you, the community. We're not supposed to be here for our own personal agenda. Everything should be done for the good of the community, and that's going to happen one way or another. You may have your vote on your motion, but I state unequivocally.
Will you stop, Mr. Roan? I do not know what your problem is.
All right,
Excuse me. Mr. Roan keeps harassing me, so I will sit out here where he's not yelling at me and kicking me.
He's still trying to do it.
I'm fine, thank you.
all right, there is a motion on the floor. Have you a second? Did anyone second your motion?
Not yet.
There is no second to this motion. Without a second, you cannot have a vote. That's the law. And this is something that this borough needs to agree. We're going to move on. That motion is null and void. What is your next point?
Thank you, other council members.
Make a motion that Gail Redden or Jack Dalton and Treasurer Raymond Wood sign all borough checks and be on the signature cards at Wayne Bank.
I'll second that motion.
Now, wait a minute, you want 3 signatures on it?
That was my motion. Make a motion that Gail Redden or Jack Dalton and Treasurer Raymond Wood sign all borough checks and be on the signature cards at Wayne Bank.
I'll second that motion.
Any comment on the motion on the floor?
Sounds good.
All those in favor?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Jack Dalton, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Donald Haynes Jr., yes. Kurt Room, yes.
Kristen Potter, yes.
All right, your next point.
Madam President,
I would like,
I don't know about everybody else, but we've been here for an hour and 51 minutes, and I could use a small Bible break.
Wait, a personal preference.
I would like to make a quick motion that all other signatures in bank records will be rescinded from the bank. Motion on the floor.
I second the motion.
There is a motion on the floor. Would you read that, Ray?
So a motion to rescind all other signatures from the bank records.
It has been
Is
made
that
and
right?
seconded. Is there any comment? All those in favor?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Jack Dalton, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Donald Haynes Jr., yes. Kurt Room, yes.
Kristen Potter, yes.
Okay, it has been asked that we have a brief break because we've been here quite long in case someone needs the restroom or something. Our secretary asked for just a,
Sorry, just because I have.
Yep, go ahead, anybody else needs to?
anyone
Take a
else
couple minute
needs to
break.
take? All right, I'll turn the heat down. Is there anyone else who wants?
Don't take your bag or
Yeah, and then we can do replacement and stuff. No, run for agenda one.
I think signature was on the actual. There was only a couple up there that, I got to take a look. It looked like we started to get into the pre-plan versus interjected.
Well, I guess they're still working through the last minute, so
We're gonna be here till midnight.
that's okay. I stayed late today, and go early again tomorrow. I just believe my drinks or something.
Is our new school board representative voting against masks?
It didn't ask him.
I know there was a little survey I saw. That came out.
I know,
They came out today.
Yeah.
They're like, you know, what do you think? They're like, yeah, maybe.
You know what, we did send out the survey.
I mean, I'm in New York, and stuff. It's gonna change here. I'm stuck with the mask.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I have first aid free, so I cannot be, and I got 3 free, and I got 2 free, and I can be mask free. Yeah, yeah, we had to do that as well. If you're
Good week, everyone, please take your seats. As you say, this has been going on, we've accomplished a lot, and if we could please, everyone take your seats, and we'll resume the meeting. Everyone, up yet, it's getting late. Okay, now you have another point of your,
Yeah, I think Holmes hired Jimmy down as the borough SEO.
I beg your pardon, I didn't
To
catch it.
hire Jim McDonald as SEO Foods Enforcement Officer.
Oh, yes, we do need a sewage, that's very good.
Who was that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sewage enforcement, could you repeat that so that Ray can hear me?
Hold on, he was plugging in.
Oh, he's plugging in.
I make a motion to hire His Active James McDonald as SEO.
Sewage enforcement officer.
I'll second that motion. Keith Payne will second that motion.
Is there any comment?
Can we be voting on this? It's not on the agenda.
Well, it's something we have to have. so.
It's not on the
I think it's part of reorganization. When you organize, you are supposed to make appointments.
But our reorganization meeting was valid.
But what was done wasn't,
But we
to be
can
modified.
modify actions that were taken at that meeting, but I don't think we can add new ones
Yeah, you can.
that are not on the
You can.
agenda.
You can.
But
It
it's
deals with reorganization.
It's something that we have to have. It's something you have to have, so legally we need one. And that's a minor point, so if we could continue, you have a second?
Yes, I seconded that motion.
Okay, so it's seconded twice. All those in favor?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Donald Haynes Jr., yes.
Kirk Road, yes.
Kristen Power, no.
Okay, your next point?
I make a motion to hire BIU and NEIC for building code inspections.
Who is it? BIU, I know, who's the other one?
Northeast.
Northeast Inspection Consultants.
Why do we need two?
Just for backup or whatever.
So one primary or?
Just I made a motion to hire both BIU and NEIC, they're both compatible, and they're both in the area.
Now, you're talking about hiring, now, what is the fee? I mean, exactly, you're saying hiring, that means there's a fee involved, I mean, what is the fee and how is it paid?
You have your building permits, and
Right.
they're the ones that approve them.
They approve the building permits.
Yes, yeah.
Now, is this according to borough ordinance? Okay. So then the motion on the floor states, Ray, has that?
There's a motion to hire BIU and NEIC as building code inspectors.
Got everyone that does building permits overseas.
What's NEIC stand for?
Northeast Inspection Consultants.
And do you know who has that?
As far as the owner,
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay, is there any questions?
Yeah,
about
how are they paid? Every time they come, you get a bill.
Who gets a bill? We get a bill?
They'll be the ones who
It
actually,
gets passed on to the building.
Through the building permit, right,
I'm
To
gonna
clarify.
have a building permit like 30 years.
right, to clarify.
Who did we have, I'm sorry, who was our building permit coordinators last year?
BIU.
And are we unhappy with them, or were there a
Just
shortage,
made a
or is
motion
it
to
just
have, to
a?
have both of them.
Why?
So, NEIC or whatever, they're a good firm. We use them a lot with what I do for work, so we use them all the time.
Yes,
To answer the question of Kristen over there, usually the fees for the permits pay the people to do it.
I haven't had to get a building permit in 30 years. so
I understand, but and you should know that, everybody should know that. Usually the permits generate the money.
the building permits generate the money to pay the, okay. So the motion's on the floor, who's second?
I second it, but anybody else can.
Keith seconded it,
second
all
if they
right.
wish.
Could we entertain a vote?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Jack Down, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Alan Haynes Jr., yes.
Kirkland, yes.
Kristen Power, yes.
Okay, your next one.
I don't know if this is old, new, or wherever, but I'll make the motion. I make a motion to have Ronald Boucher of the Law Office of Boucher Fisher to attend any and all Strucka Borough Council meetings until otherwise voted on and carried by a majority of council.
That was our arranged contract, wasn't it?
Yeah,
No,
that's
he's not.
But I will tell you, I'll only come when you want me to come. I don't want to charge you if you don't want me to come, that's all.
right.
Keith wants them here all the time?
Yes.
Until further voted, yes. I think it's important. We just see the importance. Everybody's asking them questions.
You're gonna break the borough. You're
Yeah.
bankrupt.
She doesn't know the meeting.
We see how the meetings go and are carried without him being here. At least he
Yeah, it
is
goes the
offering.
same way as it is tonight, 4-0 or 4-1 votes.
And the way they were carried when I was not here were all the illegal things you guys were doing with your minutes and things like that, that you should have.
That's your opinion.
Okay.
That's
Well,
reality.
Okay, all right, one at a time, please. All right, now, the bone of contention seems to be, why would you, if you as mature adults can't sit at a council meeting and we can't discuss the business and listen to the public and make informed decisions, why would you need the solicitor here at every meeting if there were something?
Until a further vote nullifies it.
But the majority, you have the majority, so what further vote? Because you go,
I beg to
everyone
differ.
goes
We had
along.
majority at the January 3rd meeting, but it didn't play out that way.
You left.
You
No,
left.
because Kurt Warner was asked to be
Let's address the issue with
So why
having
did
the
you create-
solicitor here.
You guys.
Now, do you feel it's necessary, Mr. Boucher, for you to be at every meeting unless there's a specific something vital that needs to be addressed and we need your input?
Very good point, Madam President. I don't think I need to be here for every meeting. I think it depends on the agenda for the meeting.
Right.
The problem's gonna be, though, I don't know when you make your agendas up and who's gonna determine whether to have the solicitor there or not. A suggestion might be, maybe have me come for the first couple meetings to kind of smooth things down, and hopefully, I think you make progress. We had a lot of 7-0, 6-1 votes here tonight. Maybe I can lend a stabilizing hand here in getting you on the right path, and then I wouldn't have to come. It's not that I want to come, I just as soon probably stay home and watch TV, but I'm happy to help you, to guide you through it.
All right, now, Mr. Boucher suggests, well, how about then compromise, saying, come to the March meeting, if everything is smooth and you feel that you can sit here like mature adults and handle things, or 1 or 2 meetings, as he said. There's no reason not to have a timeline on this.
Yeah, you
There's
can
no
revisit it,
reason.
you can revisit it later.
Right,
Right, because we could make a motion to have him attend the March meeting, then see how March goes, and at the March meeting, we can say, okay, now we need him again, let's make a motion for him
Right.
in April.
but I don't
But he
think
has a
that you
month's
should have
notice
open
every
ended.
time.
It should not be, in my opinion, it should
It's not
not be.
open-ended, there can be a motion made at any meeting to end it or rotate.
But why not entertain, have the motion that, rescind your motion and have a motion that.
I guess, I had one other question. In the contract, it states that you'll make every effort to attend meetings that you can, but you may not be able to attend all of them. So what if there was a conflict and you were not able to attend, and we passed a motion that said you have to attend?
Okay, several things happen. First of all, I'm also solicitor for Hawthorne Township, has many, many meetings. If I've missed one meeting the whole year in 2021, it's a lot. But if there is a conflict, I will let you know ahead of time. And sometimes you'll adjust your meeting, or I'll adjust my schedule, and we'll make it work.
And it's very clear that Darrell just wants to break the borough. He wants us to be handling the bank accounts, and he wants to break the borough. No other way about
I
it.
don't even think, this is not on our agenda, so I
What-
don't
what
even
is
have
our
this
tax
motion to
budget,
vote for.
Jack? What is our tax budget now, a year? What do we get?
Around 20, probably about 24,000 a year.
And how much does Darrell get on that?
Probably somewhere around, what is your payment, Darrell?
My payment is nothing.
Yeah, for your loan that come out of this.
It's the payment.
So it's somewhere around $15,000. So you can just put the numbers right out there, and 24,000, and with that loan, that bogus loan that I'm gonna call bogus, till the day I'm done. So now what are we working on, about $9,000 around,
Well, and don't forget,
you know?
we
Well-
have the monthly, once the church closes,
Yeah.
then a $1,500 meeting fee.
You know, you're all much better spending your money on infrastructure and the borough than lawyers, there's no doubt about it. But I think until everybody learns to get along and do that, which unfortunately, up till now, we've had some problems, tonight I've seen a lot of improvement. If we get that point in a month or two, maybe, hopefully, you will need me.
It's not about getting along, it's about the damn nonsense has to stop.
Okay,
But
all
I'm
right.
sorry, I still don't think this is not on the agenda.
But
So
according
we
to the,
cannot,
according to the court order, they can,
actions we've taken, that was not an action that we took that they can modify or rescind. We did not ever,
right, but they have hired him, so then that's an add-on to their
that's
hiring.
not. The
Darrell,
only
we
actions on
don't-
the things
Move on.
we
Darrell,
All right.
I got something to
This
say.
is not on the agenda.
Darrell, why can't you change your motion? Darrell, I'm over here. Why can't you change your motion to have the solicitor show up for the March meeting? That you can do. You have the majority. Then, in March, if you feel you need him one more time, you put that in. We'd like to have him come in April. But making a blanket come until we decide against it is going to bankrupt, like Dave said, this borough.
How about I make a suggestion? Why don't you make it a standing thing on your agenda each month to vote on having the solicitor here the next month?
Talk to Darrell. Don't talk to them, talk to
I'm talking
Darrell.
to Madam President.
That don't mean nothing.
Yes,
Talk to
I do.
Darrell.
Madam President, point of order. Madam President, if you have it as a standing member, the thing on your agenda, then every meeting it's gonna come up, and then you can make a determination at that time. At least it'll be addressed.
But it's not on the agenda now.
Carmen,
Madam President, do we have a current, accurate, up-to-date treasurer's report? So
We
know
absolutely
what
have not.
accounts-
We
What the
absolutely
borough
have.
accounts truly are,
No.
so that we can make all, I mean, we're spending a lot of money here tonight, and I haven't seen a treasurer's report in months, at
No.
least one on paper and
We-
one with legitimate numbers.
we have not, and I have not seen a treasurer's report, heard of a treasurer's report. We do not have any information from the past secretary treasurer as to what is in the borough accounts. I do not have any information, maybe Darrell does.
As a taxpayer, this is completely irresponsible.
Can you see the contract?
This contract, certainly, you certainly may, anyone may do
And
that.
there's also a check for borough taxes that the treasurer has had since the beginning of December that she still has not cashed. So there's money that's floating around in space that the treasurer you paid for has done nothing with.
Let's, you had a motion about this solicitor. Do you, Keith, do you want
Yes.
to?
I'm gonna stand with the language in that motion, and we can revisit it next month.
But if you have a motion that he's to be here every month,
Correct. Otherwise voted on and carried by majority, so we can revisit this next month.
But this is not on the agenda.
it is not on the
You
agenda.
cannot add things to the agenda, it's a violation of the Sunshine Law. And this is not a modification of an action we took on January 3rd.
Which is true.
Everybody just vote the way you wanna vote.
We can't, it's not on the agenda.
We
Well,
can, but we can file
You
charges.
vote no, you're clear, so if violation of the sunshine comes up, you're the one that's gonna get hooked.
Would it be a violation of the Sunshine Act for me to make that motion?
Check it one second.
Because you're supposed to be addressing things that were voted on the January 3rd meeting. That was not something that was in there. And that would be come later on under new business, which, if we ever get to new
24
business.
hours notice and majority voters.
Right, 24 hours, yes, and a majority vote.
An agency can add to the agenda at the meeting itself by majority vote.
Right.
The reason for the change must be announced prior to any official action, including a vote.
Right.
The amended agenda must be posted within 24 hours after the meeting, and the meeting minutes must reflect that the change was made.
Correct. If you follow that section, which Secretary Woods read
Right.
properly, which is section E, 712.1, you're good, you can do it.
But he's already made the motion, which is an official action. He didn't explain the reason for bringing it before he made the motion.
Well, if the majority votes for it,
All right, there is a motion on the floor. Now, I would ask each of you to think long and hard about this. All those in favor?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Jack, no.
Gil Red, no.
Donald Haynes, yes. Kirk Roy, yes.
Mr. Potter, no.
Ron, where that motion was before, where they wanted me to be on the count, one of the signers on the count. How do I get off that?
how do you get off of it?
Yeah, I don't want to be a signer.
You already been on it. So then you have to try to make a motion to remove yourself. Later on in the meeting.
Right.
Yeah, I seconded it, I'm sorry, I didn't mark
It's
it.
not be available.
Darrell and Keith.
Keith made it.
Keith made it, I know that.
And Darrell, you were the second, correct?
Yes.
Yes. All right, let's move on. Your next,
I make a motion that I am not a signer for the,
Can we
We're all
get to
counting.
the agenda at some point?
well, first we have to go along with the court order, anything that's in
We've
the
already-
minutes that he.
Obviously, we're done with that because they were making other.
All right,
motions.
there-
I got a motion.
All right, but you can't, until they finish the court order, they have to go through the minutes.
No, they're making new things.
Yeah, they've already started making new things,
We
so,
have a meeting session with your
I've got a motion on the floor.
Okay, Jack has made a motion, he
again,
does
this is not.
not want to be a signer
Well,
on
actually,
the
it
check.
makes Nutrition say it's my bad.
He doesn't want to be a
Signer on the check.
signer on the checks. He does not want that responsibility. Is there a second? No second to the motion.
Good luck with it.
Okay. If there's
They'll
no
like it,
second, we cannot move
They'll
on
like
to
it.
that. All right, now we need to address we have an agenda. We haven't yet had the bills to be paid.
Excuse me,
And we
Madam
have-
President.
Yes,
Were any committees established during the reorganizational meeting?
no, that would be something that there's nothing here about committees being established or anything because we were coming in everything blind and we had no information. And this has to be something that we progressively do. But right now, we haven't even had the bills to be paid and letters to the Borough Council. So we're going to move on to that. And then we can address the agenda. as per stated, but the committees and everything else is something that we will have on the agenda for next month. And we will have an agenda which you will all have and which will be posted and will be advertised. May we have, excuse me,
Are we gonna be allowed to see copy minutes?
from this,
I haven't seen
absolutely.
it for years, so we can give them to them.
Well, absolutely now. Anyone that comes here will can obtain a copy of the minutes and can obtain, I stated this,
On the table.
right, and the agenda. And this will be advertised also. So anyone who comes here wants any, that's the law, borough documentation, you may have it. I stated this at the January meeting, that this is going to be an open and above-board council. There is not going to be any obfuscation of facts. This is going to be anyone who has a question. It'll either be answered by members of the council, and if they don't know, then they'll find out and get back to you. That I guarantee.
That's well said. Madam President, I just ask that on the minutes and the agenda, that the secretary put me on the email list to circulate that to me as well, so I have copies.
Anyone who wants, Ray is super good. If you want your email address, send it to.
Yeah, so actually, Madam President, if I could ask that you put a motion in to formalize the dates that the minutes and agendas will be available, like 72 hours before the next meeting, or, you know, something like that.
Okay.
Like some kind of formalization, because I'm not going to go home and type these up tonight.
Oh, of course.
It's 3 hours for
72 hours, that sounds
How
reasonable.
about tomorrow night then?
Okay, all right. Would you make a motion? Kristen?
I mean, what we discussed at the last meeting was that the secretary would provide meeting minutes and agenda for the next meeting to the council members and the mayor 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours before the upcoming meeting. Okay. Now, that doesn't address when they're available for public, and it doesn't address anything about how the agenda, you know, information for the agenda is gathered.
Well, the agenda,
If I didn't drift too much, sorry.
no, the agenda, the council president puts together an agenda and with input from the council members. That's, and then we, as you say, 72 hours before, it's available to anyone who wants to peruse the agenda. And the minutes of the meeting, anyone who asks for copies of the minutes of the meeting that comes to our meetings and asks for the minutes, the borough secretary will then, within a reasonable time, provide any documentation that you ask for.
Can you
Yeah,
post
but
it?
if he does the meeting minutes for this meeting, they'll be available at the next meeting.
Right, right, to anyone who wants them.
And then post the agenda 72 hours before. If you use the post office, that's the place you
Right.
read your notices. Use the post office 72 hours in there.
Right, so then everybody needs to be.
Well, no, we put it on the building.
It has to be here.
That's fine.
Right, right.
Which is what the law is.
So then that will be done.
That's fine.
All right, now, we have bills to be paid. Now, that's another thing. Where are the treasurer's reports? Where are the books? This council needs to have them. Our treasurer needs to have all of that information.
I'll make a motion to send a letter to Laura and Debbie Travis to turn over the checkbooks, et cetera, within 14 days.
That is done already.
About 5 days.
And it's
Yeah.
They've already sent a letter.
Right.
2 letters.
But it needs to be faster than that because
Okay.
we're already way behind in catching up with anything that needs to be paid. So,
Call her up and say you gotta bring this stuff in.
you've got this amount of time.
Ron, let me just bring you up to speed.
Yeah.
So, we made a motion back at the other meeting to give Demi and Laura 5 days to get the borough stuff back, so auditors can get going on it. So Laura plays her game, about a week later, she gives us a letter and wants guidance. And then a week later, she gives us another letter that she needs a second guidance.
And
Just nonsense, continues.
Yeah, that's why you have a solicitor, okay? Now, sometimes the solicitor has to step in. You have to pay me, and you have to decide when you want me to step in. But I'll tell you this, you won't ignore me if I tell her to turn over records. It's up to you.
Well, I think we should, council should get together here and make a motion to give her get Ron to send a letter to
Well, I,
her and get the stuff back.
take a
Phone
second.
call's faster,
Phone call, you know what?
Put that in.
Time out. Today is Monday. Have Ray call her tomorrow.
No, let's have the solicitor, let's get it done. They're playing games with us.
And if you don't get what you need from her, we'll have the solicitor.
She's gonna put a roadblock up,
I just need
everybody
your phone,
other
you
than,
can give me your phone number.
other than Ron Bouget calling, she's gonna put a roadblock up, and we're not gonna get into the
Okay,
stall
all
again.
right, let's move right along. You, yes,
I have a question. Demi hasn't been to a meeting since, what, September?
Correct.
How did you, for your last 4 or 5 meetings in 2021, have treasurer's reports available to read? How did you get them? Where that you don't have them tonight for some reason?
We did have a treasurer's report then.
How did you get them was my question. If she wasn't here, how did you get those reports to have at your meeting? And you don't have them today?
Why is it only certain council members get them?
all right, let's address the
Mr.
issue.
Haynes, I have a question. Mr.
Yes.
Haynes, are you confident that when you tell Ms. Travis to hand it over, that she will?
Now, that was not made in the form of a motion. I hereby make a motion that Attorney Boucher call Laura and Denny and state that they have a certain amount of time, 5 days.
5 days is fine.
5 days to get these, all of the borough records, and the borough seal, and the borough computer, everything that belongs to the borough, to this council, to this borough secretary. I'm sorry, and that's my motion on the floor.
And I second that motion.
All right, is there any,
Yeah, I think that suggestion was gonna be, rather than pay the solicitor, why not just ask Darrell to call her and ask for it?
We're done playing games.
no, we need this done, and we need it done fast, because we are behind the 8 ball here, so to speak, because we have not been able to, as a council, take care of borough business, because we have no access to anything. No
I
borough-
agree with that completely, but as a taxpayer, I'm just gonna remind you that
Right.
you're, again, spending money to pay a solicitor when we have no idea what's in the account. And the people that do aren't willing to share.
But
Right,
15
but that's what I'm saying, 5
You
days.
need your records as soon as possible.
That's right, we need the
your
records as soon as possible, and we've sent registered letters.
Right.
We've done all of this, the other options, and I've spoken to these women myself. So then, the motion is
Can I recommend to amend to 48 hours?
That's not easy.
In time to call tomorrow.
48 hours, okay?
Is that the amount of
So you got a motion.
Well, I already made the motion, or I rescind that motion, I make a motion, yes?
He's right here, so you want to wait till he's.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I wasn't calculating it.
Great,
But one thing, that, you don't have to put them to the public, but you need them, and
Alright.
we can get by.
okay, then we
And
have,
bonded by the borough.
Okay, the treasurer.
Yeah, the treasurer is bonded by the borough, that's at least what the code says.
Yeah.
right, that's what it says.
So this is the letter I sent to them, or to Debbie Travis, right? And that lists, all,
Right, and
return all the files.
right, and these were registered letters sent out there by
So I guess-
regular post, and registered letters to both individuals, giving them 5 days. This was not efficacious. So my motion is, I rescind my motion from prior. I make a motion that Attorney Boucher contact Laura Travis and Denny Travis to return within 48 hours all borough records, anything that belongs to the borough seal, computers, printers, everything. That's my motion on the floor, that Attorney Boucher do the calling so that we get this done. Because there's no more of this sending letters and then the excuses and everything. We have to be able to progress with this, paying the bills, just knowing what we have in the accounts and what's been done in the past. So this has to be done. Yes. Well, no, that's all extemporaneous nonsense.
I
But,
second that motion.
all right, could we entertain a vote?
I think it's some sort of length of time reasonable.
Well, yes or no?
Had almost a month.
Yes, it's been over a month since the last.
No?
Keith said yes.
Keith?
Alice said no.
Yes.
Jack, yes?
Gail, yes.
Hayes Jr., yes. Rick yes.
Kristen Potter, yes.
The motion is carried.
I just need, and maybe Ray can send me his letters with what the stuff is and the phone number. Just email it to me tomorrow, I'll make you do it tomorrow.
Yep.
Thank you very much. All right.
You're not gonna go home and call her right now?
No.
Okay, now, we have correspondence.
All right. February 7th, 2022, Stark Borough Council, please accept this as my letter of interest to fill any vacancies on the council that may arise in the future. I'm a registered voter and resident of Stark Borough, and I have submitted my residency affidavit previously. Please consider this letter in effect until such time that I withdraw my interest in writing. Thank you, Theodore W. Batesville Jr. February 3rd, 2022, attention Stark Borough. I would submit my name for the position of vacancy chair. I am a registered voter of Stark Borough, Robert S. Martin, correct? Yes. 13 Chattagee Creek Road, Stark, PA. January 7th, 2022, Borough of Stark, PA, 18462, by email only to StarkBoroughCouncil@gmail.com, ray27@mac.com, RE Borough of Stark. Dear Borough Council and council members, a report has been made to the District Attorney's Office regarding potential violations of the Sunshine Act, 65 PA, CSA 701 et sequence. Okay, I'm not very good at reading legal stuff, so please be patient. 65 PA CSA section 709 C11 of this act requires, in addition to any public notice required under this section, an agency shall provide the following notifications of agency business to be considered at a meeting as follows. If the agency has a publicly accessible internet website, the agency shall post the agenda, which includes a list of each matter of the agency business, each matter of agency business that will be or may be subject to deliberation or official action at the meeting on the website no later than 24 hours in advance of the time of convening the meeting. The agency shall post the agenda, which includes a list of each matter of agency business that will be or may be subject to deliberation or official action at the meeting, at the location of the meeting and at the principal office of the agency. 3, the agency shall make available all individuals in attendance at the meeting copies of the agenda, which include a listing of each matter of agency business that will be or may be subject to deliberation or official action at the meeting. Further, the act requires the act requires 65 PA CSA section 112(1)A, except as provided in sections B, C, D, or E, an agency may not take official action on a matter of agency business at a meeting if the matter is not included in the notification required under section 709C1 related to public notice. PA 65 CSA section 713, a legal challenge under the chapter shall be filed within 30 days from the date of the meeting, which is open, or within 30 days of discovery of any action that occurred at a meeting which is not open, at which a chapter was violated. PA 65 CSA section 714, any member of any agency who participates in the meeting with intent and purpose by that member. I'm sorry. Oh, I thought you asked me to slow down. Purpose of that member of violating this, please don't. This chapter commits a summary offense and shall, upon conviction, be sentenced to pay. For the first offense, the cost of prosecution plus a fine of at least $100 and, in discretion of the sentencing authority, of not more than $1,000. 2, for a second or subsequent offense, the cost of prosecution plus a fine of at least $500 and in the discretion of the sentencing authority of not more than $2,000. B, payment. An agency shall not make a payment on behalf of or reimburse a member of an agency for a fine or cost resulting in the member's violation of this section. An initial review of the information that was provided to this office, it appears that a violation of the Sunshine Act may have occurred for simply advertising, quote, borough, B-O-R-O, business, unquote, and then taking an unlawful and invalid action of any kind, such as filling a vacancy, entering an agreement for purchase and or use of real property, etc. Please review this matter with your borough solicitor and adjust your policies and procedures accordingly to comply with the Sunshine Act and to comply with any and all other rules and regulations concerning the conduct of municipalities. Respectfully yours, A.G. Howell, District Attorney, C.C. Ronald M. Bouget, Esquire, last known borough solicitor, via hand delivered. And there is an example of advertisements for the meetings for December 22nd, 2021. Questions or comments?
No, moving along.
All right, I have an advertising notice, Tri-County Independent for $38.40. This was notice that there was a standing Storco Borough Council meeting at 7 p.m. Here at 316 Storco Creek Road. I also have an advertising notice. Send it to me twice. Another advertising notice from Tri-County Independent. This was advertising the January 10th special meeting for $49.80. I don't know if this was read previously. January 11, 2022, no, it wasn't Storco Borough Council. Here, ladies and gentlemen, enclosed, please find an updated bill for services rendered dated January 7, 2022, showing a balance due and owing of $720. I would appreciate prompt payment of this bill at your earliest convenience. Sincerely, Ronald M. Bouget. This is, and then there's a breakdown of the itemized list. January 13th, 2022, Storco Borough Council President, Storco, PA. Subject, formal request, Storco Borough Councilman. I, Lou Gursky, am formally requesting the next available Storco Council seat. I think I would be a benefit to Storco Borough based on my past experience as a Storco Borough Councilman. Thank you for consideration. Respectfully, Lou Gursky. This is a letter from Ron Bouget, but that's just telling us that there is it's for the 4980 of the ad that was ran for the January 10th meeting. Dear Ms. Furman, this is from Ron Bouget to Cindy Furman, Director of Elections, Wayne County Board of Elections. Dear Ms. Furman, as I follow up on my letter to you of December 17th, 2021, enclosed, please find the minutes of Storco Borough Council dated December 6, 2021, including that Kirk Rowan was appointed by council to fill the seat vacated by Marion Barco, who had resigned. Mr. Barco's term ran through December of 2023, and your election records should reflect this accordingly. If you have any questions, please contact me. Sincerely, Ronald M. Bouget. And then there's a copy of the minutes. I'm not going to read those again. Donald G. Via facsimile to Ronald M. Bouget, Esquire. This was also sent CC to Storco Borough. Dear Ron, I was informed by the Storco Borough Council that I was appointed as solicitor to the reorganization meeting January 3rd. I was also recently, do we need to do this?
No. Anything that's redundant, it has nothing to do with now, everything is done.
Okay. I received, per the actions that were taken at the last meeting, I contacted a PA State Association of Boroughs. They sent me an invoice for $151 if we wanted to rejoin that, and then they also sent me a form to update who the council members were and officers. Storco Borough payroll accounts. Patricia Ann Schneier, P.O. Box 83, Storco. Message about your December 31st, 2020 Form 944. You did not file a Form 944 tax return. We show that you have not filed your tax return for the tax period ending December 31st, 2020, you must file Form 944 or tell us why you don't have to file later than January 26, 2022. If you're required, do I need to read the whole form?
She's deceased.
Well, I mean, it's addressed to the Historical Borough payroll account, so we should probably find that out.
Right, that's something you can delve into
Yep.
as treasurer.
Wayne County Department of Planning, GIS. Historical Borough Council, care of Denny Travis, 177 Travis Road, Historical PA, RE Downton Jack and Kathy subdivision, Lot A, 0.671 acres, is a new lot with 276.25 plus or minus acres remaining. Dear Borough Council, as per requirements of Section 502 of Act 247, the Pennsylvania Municipality Planning Code, we have reviewed the above referenced revised land subdivision located along the northeast side of State Road 4012 Chattahoochee Creek Road in Historical Borough, Wayne County. The Historical Borough Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance, SALDO, was used as the regulatory basis for our review and the source of the following comments. 1. Article 4, Section 404.2Q of the SALDO requires the names of adjoining property owners, including those across adjacent roads, with the books and pages where each property is recorded. We note the adjoining tax parcel, number 44, is now owned by Dennis and Florence Doughton with a deed reference of record book 6054, page 241. The plan should be revised accordingly. 2. Article 4, Section 404.2, Z of your SALDO requirements. Any existing or proposed area of wells and subsurface sewage disposal fields when on-site disposal is proposed. The location of water supply for tax parcel 37.1 has not been shown on the plan. 3. Article 4, Section 602.3 of your SALDO requirements requires a lot with on-site sewage disposal and on-site water to be a minimum of 1.5 acres with a minimum lot width of 125 feet as designed. Proposed Lot A of 0.671 acres does not meet these minimum design standards of your SALDO. In order to proceed with the subdivision application, the applicant will need to follow Article X, Section 1003, titled Modifications of the Historical Borough SALDO. Please contact our office should you have any questions. Sincerely, Craig E. Richter, Planning Director. CC Jack and Kathy Downton, James P. Rucker, PLS.
When was that dated, please?
January 31st, 2022.
Okay, thank you.
Wayne County PA Realty Transfer Tax Receipt. Today's date 10/1/2020, period 9/1/2020 through 9/30/2020, certified through 9/29/2020. No realty transfer tax collected. End of report. Sorry, I collected the mail, so some of it's been sitting in there for a while. P.O. Box service fee notice, Strucka. This is for Box 83. Date of notice is 2/3/22. 6 months, $31. 12 months, $62. Due date 2/28/28, which is a great day. I'm not going to read the full letter, it's a form letter, but basically, if we want to continue with Box 83, we need to pay by 2/28/28. Weekly report of work and earnings, instructions, the information requested on this. Jason S. Heeman, I won't read his social security number, has made a claim for unemployment compensation benefits for the week of December 27, 2020 to January 2nd, 2021. The claimant has indicated he or she was employed by you during this week and has reported gross earnings of $10. Please note that this amount has been rounded to the next highest dollar amount only, reflects figures up to $999. The claimant's actual earnings may be higher. And then this form needs to be filled out. We have a check, ball field sponsorship for $75 from Avid Exchange Incorporated, PO Box 36250, Charlotte, North Carolina, sent to Strokeboro Borough, and this was from 5/11/2021. I don't see an expiration date, so we should probably catch that. Tyler Technologies, care of Tyler Technologies, 925 Court Street, PA, Borough of Soroka. Our firm has been retained by Wayne County to help conduct reassessment of all real estate or property tax purposes. For property tax purposes, please use the glossary of terms supplied on the back of this form to carefully complete the data for this property. Please return the form to the address above within 14 days. If you have any questions, please call our office at phone number 570-251-8985. This is for 22 Chattahoochee Creek Road.
That's your town,
I was gonna say, the
Yeah, so
town
the date
hall.
is 5/24/21.
Where have you done the assessment?
Yeah, it's,
Sorry to waste your time, guys.
No, I'm just
Going
saying.
through all the mail.
That's what they did. They're gonna reassess you, but if you don't take that
Notice of cancellations of the certificate holders to Strokeboro Borough, PO Box 83, A&B Homes Incorporated, cancellation effective 4/12/21 at 12:01 a.m. Certificate of insurance issued for certificate holder listed above is void as of 4/21/2021 at 12:01 a.m. The State Workers Insurance Fund will not be liable for workers' compensation claims after that date of cancellation. Yours very truly. Got a few of these. To whom it may concern, attached to the form and part of the policy number 06283898. This will certify that a captioned workers' compensation policy, which was previously scheduled to be canceled on April 12, 2021 at 12:01 a.m. is hereby reinstated and remains in force and effect without lapsing coverage. Very truly yours, and that is dated 3/24/2021. This is to certify that the policy number 06283898 issued in the name of A&B Homes, Route 6, PO Box 286, Holmesdale, PA, is in force on the date hereof as follows. Kind of insurance, workers' compensation, and employment liability policy period effective 12/18/2021 to 12:01 a.m. Expiry 12/18/2021. I'm sorry, it's 2020 in the original. 2021 at 12:01 a.m. Limits of liability workers' compensation insurance fully complies with the provisions of the Pennsylvania Workers' Compensation Act and the Pennsylvania Occupational Disease Act as reenacted. Employer's liability insurance, bodily insurance by accident, $500,000 each accident, body insurance by disease, $500,000 each employee, body injury by disease, $500,000 policy limit. Jobs and site memo, description of work covered, carpentry, residential, salesperson on outside, office. Coverage includes all operations incidental to the business of the insured for Pennsylvania employees only, and it includes Pennsylvania employees whose duties require them to go beyond the territorial limits of the Commonwealth as provided by Section 305.2 of Pennsylvania Workers' Compensation Act as amended. 30-day cancellation costs in accordance with the procedures for cancellation State Workers Insurance Fund. Will endeavor to give 30 days notice before the cancellation becomes effective. However, the policyholder may cancel forthwith without prior notice to SWIF. Sorry.
You got a junk mail there, Ray, just sort of.
Right, yeah, if there's anything that's redundant or it's not pertinent to, so we can move along.
You should probably paraphrase, but keep them up here on the table. The public can look at any of these letters.
Right, no,
So
absolutely.
you can kind of paraphrase and stick to the letter.
Sure. All right, so,
Is it my understanding that some of those letters are dated from April 21?
and this one here
The
specific.
PO box was still open? How long has that box been open? For years?
Yes, because it was always the official where mail went and people had that address. Well, let's move right along, let's get on with the correspondence and the bills, please.
Get our secretary to do something.
These out here?
So we have certificate of insurance from Erie Insurance. This is dated 7/28/2020 and 7/28/2021. Covering insurance, general liability, automotive liability, Dave Dibble Construction, DBA, David R. Dibble, DBA, Susquehanna, PA. I don't know why, but their name and address. Certificate holder is Strip Borough Council.
Okay.
Then, Scranton Service Center, Pennsylvania Department of Labor. The department has requested information for you to determine the eligibility of unemployment compensation for Jason Heeman. So I think that's part of the last one.
Oh, this is just his certificate of insurance.
Thompson Borough, PA, Strucker Borough, the amount of $1,034.86 was determined your share of the workers' compensation policy for Thompson Hose Company for the period of August 1, 2021 and July 31st, 2022. The insurance was purchased through SWIF Workers' Compensation Fund. So that's got a breakdown of Thompson, Borough, Township, Parrot, Starocca, Jackson, Gibson, and Scott Township. So everybody wants to see how our contribution stacks up. The amount of $662 was determined your share of the workers' compensation policy for Thompson Hose Company for the period of August 1, 2020 through July 31, 2021. Thompson Hose Company, dear council members and supervisors, enclosed, please find 2 copies of the fire protection contract for 2021 for Thompson Hose Company. Please date and sign and return 1 copy above address and keep 1 copy for your records. And this is, obviously, these are not signed. So I just have an envelope with a check from Starocca Borough, UCC, to Quill for $232.12. It's signed by Demi Travis, but it doesn't look like it's been cashed.
Any other signature on it, Denny?
No, just one. And then I have another one of these cool little envelopes. This is Strucker Borough Liquids Fuels, P.O. Box 83. All 3 of these checks are from Liquid Fuels. One is Bill Prikus, $2,227.97. This was made out on December 7th, 2020. There's 1 signature on this. Preston Township, 2027-2020, $500. Chris Miller, $1,270, again, 12/7/2020. And Thompson Township, $500.50, $550 till 2027. There, just got 1 signature on them. I think we need 2 signatures for a check.
Was that $1,200 or $12,000?
12/27. And
What was the date? That was the date.
2020?
These are all from December 2020.
So these
September, did you say?
These are number.
December 2020. These are all checks that,
You want to hire this?
You guys are on council.
yeah, and this is what it says on the envelope, found loose in mail. And it's addressed to Strucker Borough Liquid Fuels. So, Yeah.
How did we all-
These were found loose in the mail, didn't get where they were
Is that
supposed to
something you
go
can
in
take care of,
December
Ron?
2020.
That looks like a previous good audit.
Yeah. So how did the audit get through when this stuff was never
I
done?
want us to do
There should be a
better.
second signature on that.
Right.
It's not.
Maybe they were produced.
Well,
Maybe
they
that's
were in the
second
paperwork.
signature. I don't know. That must be my
What was
guess.
the envelope addressed to, Ron?
Struckleboro Liquid Fuels, P.O. Box 83.
And that came from where?
17 South Commerce Way, Lehigh Valley, PA.
That's a post office,
Right.
because if it is
Same
something
thing.
that opened up.
So they got to the envelope, is
Then
what,
they-
yeah, it was D-word.
D worked at the post office, she's giving an explanation.
If they had sent them and they got the envelope opened up, or if they couldn't deliver it to wherever, whatever the people's name was that they were gonna send it to, it would go to like a dead letter office. That sits there for a while, but then they open the letters to see if there's any, like checks, anything that has.
So they sent
then
it
they
back
send it
to the
back.
borough, because that's the address on
And
there.
that's
The
why,
question would be, Madam President, were these bills approved at the December meeting?
December 2020.
that's 2020, that's,
And they, right.
Let's look at the audit from last year.
Somebody, yeah, this all's going to have to be addressed.
Yeah.
This is a very
How were
serious.
the books ever balanced and the audit ever done, if these were never cashed?
Ron, you
And
are
only
aware,
Only one signature too.
you are aware for the last 3 years that we had elected auditors and they didn't allow him to be part of it and they appointed Laura Travis.
No, I'm not aware of that, Jack. We all have to follow the code. So let me say this. It sounds to me like somebody should make a call to Thompson Township, Chris Miller, Preston Township, Bill Pikus, and maybe Quill, and say, do we still owe this money? This was approved, and they should have been paid. They should be checking on something there.
Right,
Probably double
Check it
check.
down.
right.
When they just say
So
it was
that's something
paid,
that's
we
going
need
to
to say if
be
it was
made.
paid. I know if it was,
For a year, we need to think, right?
but we need to know if they were approved to be paid, since there's only one signature on it.
Well, technically, the Secretary Treasurer might inquire if he doesn't mind doing that. Like I say, I'll be happy to do whatever you want me to do.
I think we could acquire him, save $1.
You want to try, Ray?
Let's try.
I think Pikus tomorrow, last Pikus.
Am I clear that those checks were all from December 2020?
Yes.
Which means if there was any settlement done where the people who those checks were written to followed up, it should be in our minutes and it should be part of the 2021 audit.
You would think, yes.
So when we go to do the 2021 audit, if we ever get the paperwork and get going on it, could we get copies of those checks?
Sure.
So that we can verify that, yes, we did balance it and pay it?
Anything you need, Ray will be willing to make copies of anything so
Just so
that
we
you
can
can
make sure that
make sure.
we
Right.
don't double pay.
You'll be fine with doing that. Okay.
All right, one last one, January 12th, 2020, Keith Payne, Darrell Haynes, Stroke Borough Councilman, Stroke Borough, PA. Councilman Payne, Councilman Haynes, I am writing you today as my role as the duly appointed Secretary of Stroke Borough. It has come to my attention that during December 6th, December 22nd, December 31st, the meetings of the council, there was no secretary present. Both of you, by your own admission, took notes, recorded, or otherwise documented the meetings, created minutes specifically to the December 22nd meeting. Minutes were read and voted and recorded by the council. PA Borough Code requires that all records and minutes are transferred to the new borough secretary. Therefore, I am asking for any and all records, notes, and documents related to these and any other meetings the council may have had that you recorded where a secretary was not present. I will make every reasonable arrangement to receive these documents and recordings, including the transfer of electronic files from you both within 5 days from the date of this letter. Thank you for your time and assistance in this matter.
Who was that from, Ray?
That was for me.
From Ray.
As the secretary.
He needs the minutes.
All right,
Yes.
that's all.
Okay.
We'll call it the May.
Are they heard?
He's being wise guy.
Ah. Okay, now, as far as bills to be paid, you had several, Mr. Boucher's being one, the newspapers. So those bills that we have nothing, you have no checkbooks or anything, so, we do need a motion though to then pay the pertinent bills that are due now.
So, before you start randomly paying things, this,
I stated the ones to be paid.
oh, right, so you only want to pay those, right?
Right.
Okay, good, because I got a question about that.
Which one is that?
From Thompson Borough for the workers' compensation policy.
I think we should follow up on that.
Yes, that has to be
This one's
investigated.
from 2020.
Right.
And this one is the current period, but we don't know if it's been paid
Right, we
yet.
don't know, so those, the only ones we know for sure are the newspapers and Mr. Boucher. Those are the ones that we're going to entertain a motion to pay the newspapers.
I make a motion, we pay those 4 bills.
Right,
I'll second that motion.
and Mr. Boucher's. Because the rest have to be, we need to investigate the workers' comp, whether or not.
I motion, Keith second.
Okay, if there's a motion on the floor, any comment, could we entertain a vote?
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Jack Down, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Donald Haynes Jr., yes. Kurt Rowe, yes.
Kristen Power, yes.
Okay, moving right along. All right, we've had the reading of the bills and we've had the letters to cover. Now, under the agenda, a lot of these have already been addressed. Some of them we can't address, like hose contracts. We've already done everything has been advertised, and we've discussed the records. We can't review a budget because we have no clue as to what we have and what we can use. Carly, did you have something on the, I'm sorry, I skipped you, the audit.
That's okay, I just wanted to give the Borough Council an update. Since the January 3rd meeting, when we said we planned to have our auditors meeting, we did have our meeting to plan the audit. There was a full quorum there, and following the guidelines, Tom Galliardo is presiding over the audit, and I will be acting as secretary of the audit. And we'll get going as soon as we get some paperwork.
You have a suggestion
Yes.
for Madam President. If maybe at the next meeting, Madam President sets up a series of committees to work on these various things,
Right.
to get this straightened out. I
Right,
think it'll go a lot smoother. Whatever help you want from me, I'll help you. But I think it should come from Madam President with the various committees and committee it down.
right, and I've already made notation that there are things that need to be looked into and that we've got to go through everything, and as you say, have a committee that can look into it, bring the recommendations, the report back to the council and the public, so it's all open and above board. Now, we do need to address a subdivision that Jack has been waiting for since last March, Jack and Kathy.
I've got the maps here that
Yes.
that we can look at. These are the final maps. However you want to look at them.
I need to see a letter from the planning commission. Because I get related to Jack's.
So what we're,
Sorry, they all.
what we're planning on doing is deeding over a piece of land to the farmhouse. Where the Mary are planning on building a new house there, tearing down the old house and building a new house. And you've got, this all land was in the preservation program. So this was into the preservation program. So we've got the okay from both the state and the county on it. And instead of doing an acre and a half, what we did with the preservation program, they do an acre and a half to make this all work, not to take an acre back out to take away from the farm, or to take an acre along up here for the farm. We're asking for a modification to do it for 0.6 whatever acres. That would be the common curtilage that goes here if we come back up to the road frontage. It's got a driveway that's got dual access to the driveway. So that's what we're asking council to accept it with the modification. So we can keep the farming operation going, so down the road, someone else owned the farm beside me or
Okay, so
Jordan.
if I may, Madam President, the letter from the planning commission addresses the map and was dated January 31st, and it said there were three things that need to be addressed. The first is the names on parcel 44 should read Dennison Forest down, looks like that's there. So it looks like that's been corrected. Second is that you have to show the well site on parcel 437.1, looks like they've shown it there.
Right.
So he corrected that. Third thing is the minimum acreage is 1.5 acres with a lot width of 125, and it doesn't have it. So what he's asking for is a variance from those design standards to allow this lot to be approved, even though it doesn't technically sit with the municipal planning ordinance. So, Borough Council is authorized to issue a variance when it feels it's appropriate under the circumstances. Jack did correct the two issues. Now he needs a correction from the 1.5 acres because this is less than that. Okay, this one here is 0.635 acres, and his lot width is not 125 feet. You can see it's less than that. But I think he's explained to council what he intends to do and why he feels that this is appropriate. So I think at this point in time, it's appropriate for any council member to ask any question of Jack's request for the variance.
You guys want to see the map down there?
The 1.5, is that a borough regulation, or is that
That's a borough.
Wayne County?
Borough regulation.
Borough.
I'm not sure the borough has a salvo ordinance.
Yes.
Yes, we do. We have an ordinance which has been in effect for many years.
Okay,
Yes,
so
we do have that ordinance.
is the salvo ordinance online, or any ordinance online?
That-
Here's what I pulled out of that we would be working with here on the table. So I think on that planning commission, it had 03 or something like that.
Okay, all right. All right, so listen, it's common in municipalities to grant variances
Right.
when they feel that the overall effect of what's being done still fits in line with the overall concept of what you want to accomplish. And so there's no problem if you want to approve it. You can deny it if you want to, but you can certainly approve it because I think Jack tried to explain the purpose for what he wanted to do and how it fits in with his overall project.
They're tearing down the original house,
Correct.
the family house,
Yep.
and they're going to build a new home.
Yep.
And I personally see no reason why. Does anyone have any
It's
questions?
37-1, right, Jack?
Yeah.
No, that's my log cabin. This is the farmhouse here.
Right,
That's
the
the one
farmhouse.
being
That's where
That's the
we're
one.
married to.
Right.
And I've got the letters are, had two letters from the Wayne County and the state board also that we put on file with the time.
Okay, so you have a planning board or not?
No,
We do not.
no, so that's why we sent
We
it
do
down
not
to
reject.
the,
Okay, so usually we follow the guidelines of what the county says. Like I say, Jack corrected 2 out of 3, and the law says you need to give a variance to finally approve the map. You're well within your rights to grant the variance if you want to. So somebody needs to make a motion one way or the other.
I make a motion that we grant the Doughtons their
When
variance.
they come out the driveway, do they have the right of way from out that driveway that's not within that .65?
yes, driveway's a common driveway.
Okay.
So Jack, I would ask, this parcel is 3.71.
Mm-hmm.
Is that landlocked?
No, because I have a right of way to the driveway.
So this has the right of way down here.
Yep,
Okay, so probably what you want to do is just have Jack provide a deed that shows that there is a right of way, because you don't want to landlock a parcel, you don't have a problem with that, do you?
well, no, I don't really know whether there's a need for it because, I mean, I definitely not landlocked because I do have that on my deed.
Well, if you're not landlocked now, if you prove it as a separate parcel,
Yeah,
you could technically convey this parcel and it would be landlocked.
no, because I know when this was deeded off from the main farm, that's what it was deeded off, that I had an easement right away out of the
That's in
driveway.
his deed
If the
already.
easement's in the deed, that's fine. That's the only thing I would suggest, is that there be a deed easement. for that
Right,
parcel.
yeah, he has that already.
That's all.
There is a motion on the floor.
But you're not, all you're asking for is for the .65, not where your house
Right.
is, correct?
Right.
If my
To
house
tear
is
down-
on its own
To tear down the
That-
main farmhouse.
That's not part of tonight's.
Right.
No.
All right, that's exactly right. So this is a separate, this is the piece here.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion on, Kristen has made the motion to approve a variance as stated on the map. Darrell, you have a question?
Yeah, whose name is that in Jack, the .65?
Mine, and I'm deeding it off.
Okay, the motion should include that.
Right, include that, that's Jack's deeding it to
Yeah.
his son and his wife. All right, the motion is made, we need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Kirk. All those in favor, the motion is stated.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Jack Dalton abstains. Gail Redden, yes.
Darrell Haynes Jr., yes.
Kirk Road, yes.
Kristen Potter, yes.
Okay,
Okay, so when you get a chance after the meeting, you all sign this deal and get this map.
Okay.
right.
Keep a couple of copies for the secretary.
Is there a tax net number on that or anything to identify that by chance?
It won't be until it gets recorded. Once it gets recorded, they'll give them a tax number for this. There's a tax map for the other stuff.
I know mine's 01 because I took it off from mine.
But that I don't care about, all I'm trying to do is.
He'll have a new number when the
We
map.
all,
It's a tax.
we all need to sign this. We don't have the borough seal as yet, but that will be done.
Add the seal to it and then give it.
Right, and the council members do need to sign this. Now, there are several other points in the agenda, however, some of the things we need to investigate are Thompson Hose contract. These things will be looked into. It's been a long meeting already. And does anyone here have anything to say for the good of the borough? I always say this at my meetings, always have, no matter what I've been involved in. So if anyone has a positive comment, we're more than happy to hear it. If not, yes, sir.
Say, thank you for the website.
Yeah, oh, yes, the website, that's an awesome thing. All right, did we entertain a motion?
Oh, I'm making a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you all. We need to sign. Seconded and approved from I'm sorry. Well, I'll just, I should, I've never.